will be coming and joining us, so it is going to be worth your while to stay. So just give us a second. We'll be starting these debates. Whoa! The light said, what is the word? Possession? Is it haunting?
Oh, yeah.
Give us 1 second. We're getting everyone up in to the debates. We're going to be starting these. Guys, it's going to be wild. You might want to stay because we will be having Destiny join us. So it'll be wild. It'll be wild. Do. Guess. Let's see here. Sorry guys, just 1 second. I'm inviting people up. Just give us 1 second, guys, because we will be having a pretty banging panel that we will be. If you guys are if anyone from the tour is in this chat, please request up. If you are from the tour, please request up. C-Mags, do you want to come up here? You can come up here. Perfect. Okay, hi, buddy. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna change this panel into where I won't be the. How do you change the? Is there a layout? Let's see here. Sorry, guys. 1 second. We're about to have some crazy ass debates. We're gonna have Destiny in here. We're gonna have a great time. I just gotta get my. Perfect. 1 second, guys. We're gonna have some gnarly debates. Oh my god, what was that? Sounds like they just joined and like started breaking glass. Hey, C-Max, do you know how to change it to be the other, where it's like a different format?
I don't, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Does anyone
maybe somebody in the comments? Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone in the comments know how to change the format? Like, what do I click? Am I not doing something right? My toad is going crazy over there. If you are from the tour, if your name is Destiny, you can request up. Anyone in the comments know how to change this layout to be like the... I don't really know, so I'm struggling here. Flip camera. No, we don't want to do that. Bro, I don't even know. Share campaigns. It's like, I don't know if I'm not having the setting. You're just here for Destiny? Good. Is this a Destiny raid by chance? Is that what's going on here? I feel like we have a Destiny raid going on. Hey, could you look up on your phone how to do that?
Yeah. So it's like what? How
to change the layout?
Like the panel.
It says at the bottom, taps. The out option should be right there.
Oh, I love you. Okay, but is there not another option? There's gotta be another option besides just that. Do you know how to make it? Where it's a square? Does anyone know how to make the square? Thank you guys for your patience. We're getting Destiny up here. Who is this? No. What is going on here? Okay. Does anyone know how to make this TikTok be like a square instead of a rectangle? Does anyone know how to do that? Okay. Oh, I don't know what that button is. I feel like this is a Destiny raid, so it's a bunch of. Let's one at the bottom.
Hit the multi-guest button, top right. Somebody said in the comments.
Yeah, it only gives me this option, and then it gives me this option. So I guess this is where we're. This is where we're at. Sorry, I don't, but I love following you. That's really sweet. That's really sweet. Hey guys, if you let's see here. Ain't no way there's another DGG here. There should be a lot of DGGs here. Here. There should be a lot of DGGs. Okay, just give us a second. Just give us 1 second. We will be having a smackdown here in a second. We're gonna get more people up here.
Junior says next to the camera option is a box.
Next to the camera option is a box.
You click it and you can change it.
Oh, okay. Well, that didn't. I mean, I see the box, but when I click the box, I only get. That's all it's doing. You see that? Like, here I am. Oh. Oh. There's no option besides this and that. So I don't know. If you're MAGA, request. Send a request if you're MAGA. Well, let's... Okay, C Mags, are you ready to be the entertainment while we wait a second? Do you have a joke for us?
It sounds like somebody's got a joke in the comments. GA
What?
Trump girl. What's the difference between a white liberal and a white conservative? They both call for the manager, but for different reasons.
Was that
I don't
someone's
know. I'd like to know the answer. I'm
What's
sure it's something snarky.
a white liberal and a white conservative? I'd say their values.
Yeah, Vicious, I did hear that.
GA said it's not a joke. Just give us a second, everyone. If you are MAGA, go ahead and request up. Destiny types in all caps sometimes, and it's hilarious. He just texted. He's like, "I'm coming," like in all caps.
That's so boomer of him.
It's awesome. It's some badass shit. I love that all these invite requests are people holding fish, and I'm like so tempted to actually invite them just because they're holding fish, and then talk about the white striper that man is holding in his picture. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, ask them. It can be about the tour. We'll answer them until we get all of our guests up here, and then we want to start taking up some MAGA as well. If you are MAGA, please request up. If you voted for Donald Trump, please come into the request box. If you voted for DT, if that's your man, you got to stand by him. I think it works like that. That's him sneezing. That
Yeah,
was
I
my
mean,
dog.
like, aren't they all calling him daddy now? Like, I mean, I know it's always been that, but it seems like that's the thing now.
Yeah.
I mean, according to the what's his face from the NATO summit. Yeah.
We going to community colleges as well as big colleges. Yeah, we definitely want to branch out to wherever we can. And I think community colleges are important. I think anywhere where people are getting educated, where we can snatch people away from Kirk is beneficial. Is there MAGA in the request box? I can't tell. There's some if you can if you want to talk to us and you're MAGA or any like that anything like that, you're in opposition, whatever, you can go ahead and request up. Voted for Trump, maybe Theo Vaughn next time. Are you being? They're being sarcastic. That's true. That's not a joke. If you vote, I mean, I think that's a joke. I can't tell. I'm so bad at sarcasm. And oh, it's sarcasm. Okay. When the autism is on full display in front of 192 people, I don't know what to do. It's fine. I've done prove just about every one of your videos wrong and your eye trigger lids. This person probably like, those people who like stitch your videos and they're in the dark under a blanket and they're like, what you said is wrong and I don't like you. And then they just post it and it gets like 2 views. Like, that's probably who this person is. I trigger libs. If you're proving us wrong, why don't you come up and prove us wrong? If you are good at that, if you're MAGA in general, if you're MAGA, come on up. Who cares about views? No, I don't think views are necessarily important, but I think if you were actually proving me wrong, you would have more views. You know what I mean? Like if you were actually debunking, maybe people watch the videos and they're like, "Oh, this isn't worth my time because it's a lie." Am I MAGA? Fuck no. I'm on the Unfuck America tour. We're debating MAGA. You can't. I mean, I guess I was about to say you can't debate your own team, and then I was about to be like,
I mean, but they do, right? We saw Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson.
yes.
They debate each other.
If you're MAGA, put yourself in the request box for when the debate will be starting here shortly. So put yourself in the request box. I think when we get more people in these boxes, I'll be able. No, I should because I've seen people do 3. I'm just trying to figure out because I want you guys to be able to have your camera on. I know Destiny will probably want his camera on, and I'm like, I don't
Is
want
it
to.
something you've got to do before you start the live?
No, you can only do it after. The
Mm-hmm.
Dark Lord, W the Dark Lord. If you W me, I'll W you back. Let's see here. Hi guys, just give us a second. I feel like this whole entire chat is literally Destiny stands. Like 194 people who are in here who aren't leaving. Like these have to be. Wait, Lashika, I don't have my camera on. Is Lashika Destiny? I'm gonna die if that's Destiny. No, sorry. Okay. Okay, never mind. Dark Mercedes is like Dark Brandon. Thanks. That was really sweet. That's sweet. Thanks. Vanilla Ice. Okay. You guys can type whatever you want in the comments and I will answer your questions or read it. Slur and Tom raid. Good. Very good. Okay, Slur and Tom. I'm so lit. So lit. Okay. It's pretty cool. Crazy fall off. I haven't fallen off my chair yet. You're gonna have to give me a little bit more for that. A little bit more. I think the funniest thing about people who make comments like that is where they have like 1,000 followers and it says mostly trolling. Insanely good days player. Okay, let's see here. Oh, there we go. Do we have any MAGA? Do we have any MAGA in the chat? I'm gonna start inviting people up. So if you want up and you voted for MAGA,
Am I supposed to? Am I fighting with you? Oh, is my audio working? Hello, hello.
Yeah, you sound good.
Wow, thanks.
Let me see if I can make now that it should let me do. Okay, I don't like that. Let's see.
Am I counted as like being live? Is that like a live for me?
Wait, say that again.
If my camera is turned on for this, does that count as me being like live? Am I
Yeah.
like in a live or?
I don't know if it counts as you being live, but if you want to turn your camera on, I can give you the big screen.
Oh, no, that's okay. I don't know if I was expected to have it on or not. So
Oh, I mean, it doesn't, whatever you like.
you'll be connected using audio only. Okay, I'm figuring this out. Hold on. Oh, hi.
You're
Okay.
doing great. You're doing great. Okay, if you are MAGA, go ahead and put yourself in the request. Sorry, Destiny.
Oh, hi. Are we fighting about a particular thing or is it just over everything?
We can whatever you like. I think we're just gonna start pulling people up, and then if they have a problem with anything, we'll just go for it. If you want into the request box because you want to debate, I guess, about anything, go ahead and get up into the request box. We have me, myself, and I. Okay. I'm gonna try you. Hi, did you vote for MAGA?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I thought I was debating you, and then little Destiny popped in. That's kind of cool.
Cool, cool.
He's the big pew pew for the day, huh?
I
He's your
try to
guys.
be.
He's your guys' debate bread and butter. Hey, it's better than Dean and Parker. That's for sure.
Are you a big MAGA person?
Yeah. Are you a big Kamala or are you a big Democrat? I
I'm a
mean,
big Democrat. Yeah, I would have voted for Kamala 100%. Yeah, or I did vote for Kamala. I mean, I
I,
would have
I feel
preferred
I feel
Kamala right
like
now. Yeah.
you. Well, why is that? And also, I feel like you kind of are. You're probably like more in the middle. Possibly, you're not. You don't hold the same like far left ideals. For example, like you do use the R slur. I thought that was interesting.
Um,
Most Democrats are deathly allergic to that word.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm an edgy gamer type person, but I mean, policy wise, I would say that I line up pretty wholly with the Democratic Party right now, and I would say that especially given how the past several months of Trump's governance has gone, I think in basically every conceivable way, I would have probably wanted a Democrat in office
Well,
over the
well, that would
the current
mean that
administration.
would mean you'd be a Trump supporter now because it's gone quite well. It's
I,
only in the Democratic. It's only in the Democrats' head that he's doing bad. But
what domain would you like to explore
he's
on
in the
that?
Middle East, Iran, Israel,
Well, so for Iran, like that was
Russia, Ukraine.
well, sure. I
Go
mean,
ahead.
so, well, I'm curious. So he said that the war in Russia and Ukraine would be over on day one, and that was a complete utter failure. Do you acknowledge that?
He was being hyperbolic. He was doing what it took to get him elected, and he got elected, and he did the job. Like anybody that actually believed that, it must have been actually a Democrat. You know what I mean?
So he said that the war was going to be over on day one for Ukraine, Russia. That was a complete utter failure. Do you acknowledge that?
That was just a malarkey, man. If you didn't see right through that, then you're just silly. Like you don't know Trump, right? And I think you do. And I don't actually think you thought he actually meant that.
Okay, if Trump was serious about the war being over on day one, that was a complete utter failure, right? Do you acknowledge that?
Well, he didn't mean it like that. So yeah, sure though. I don't care. I mean, I guess have they been unaliving each other lately? I haven't
Yeah.
even heard of Ukraine and Russia.
They've absolutely been continually bombing it. Trump himself has complained sometimes about it being bombed. I think he even truthed out that he was upset that he felt like Putin was playing him, which is laughable, given that's exactly what Putin does. But
I don't think you know that. I think you're just making shit up.
that Trump, you don't believe that Trump truthed out that he was upset because he felt like
No, I
Putin
don't
was
think
playing
you
him?
know. No, I don't. That's ridiculous too. I mean, if you could try to prove that, that's fine. But no, I'm saying like they're still
Wait, I'm
bombing. They're
just
still
to be clear, you
unaliving
don't
each
think
other.
that Trump truthed out that he felt like Putin was playing him? Is that what you're saying? You contesting
Yeah,
that?
show me the truth. I didn't see the truth. Show me. I'm sure it doesn't
Okay.
say exactly what you say, and I'm sure I'll be able to poke holes in it. Just like all the other logic that you guys have, all your other debates. Like there's not one debate that you have that's logical and sound.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you just sent for the left because they lack, intelligent people with common sense.
Okay. I'll wait till somebody links me his truths, because for some reason you can't Google search
Guys,
the
someone send them the truth. Yeah,
truths or
Google.
whatever on.
Just use
The
the AI.
So
Just
we're
use.
not any closer to like an actual deal or a peaceful resolution to Ukraine
How do you
Russia,
know that?
right?
Yeah, how do you know that?
We don't, which means nothing.
How
So
much
there's no reason.
are we hemorrhaging money? Are people upset? Why aren't we sending them money? I mean, obviously something.
I'm not asking about money. I'm
Changed.
asking about a peaceful resolution to the problem. We're not any closer to that actually coming about, right?
Well, how do you know that?
It doesn't seem like it. They're still fighting. Nobody's publicly talking about a peace agreement unless a peace agreement
There you go.
magically.
It's what you feel, what it seems like. So you're just kind of basing this off your emotions.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Hold on. Is there a peace agreement right now between Russia and Ukraine?
Is there a peace agreement? No, not that I know
Okay,
of.
then there's not one. So there's not one. We're
That
way
doesn't
past day
mean that
one.
doesn't mean they're bombing each other. That doesn't mean they're not closer to a peace deal.
We haven't seen any evidence. There's no evidence of them being close to a peace deal, is there?
You would have to make that. You would have to prove your claim. You stated a positive claim. You'd have to back that up. But when I ask you, you're like, well, it doesn't seem like it. Like there's no actual deal.
Sorry, when I say it doesn't seem like it, what I'm saying is that there's no evidence of them being any closer to a peaceful resolution
It doesn't
between the
seem
two.
like it doesn't seem like we've seen it in the news lately. It doesn't seem like I've seen people getting bombed. I haven't seen drones taking out troops. I mean, it doesn't seem. It does seem like they're actually getting closer to a peace deal. And maybe
Well,
that's.
that's just incorrect. They're still fighting. They're still attacking each other. There's nothing.
How do you know
There's
that?
no indicate.
Right? How do you
Because
know
we can
that?
Google. We can literally look up
Go
articles of
ahead, Google
attacks
it. Show
on.
me. Yeah, you made a claim. Now back it up. Yeah, you know how this Google things work. You still aren't able
So
to show
I
me the
just
first
Googled
two source of
Russia
that.
attack Ukraine, and I see in Politico.eu, Russia
Ooh.
kills 17, injures scores in one of its deadliest attacks on Ukraine. Amid its summer offensive in Ukraine, Moscow hit industrial center Dnipro a day after slamming Kyiv with missiles.
Wait, are you
So
saying
it
their
seems
deadliest attack was unalive 17 people? You got to use
it says.
TikTok for any language too. Can I
Oh,
see the
it says.
source? And what's the date on that source? Can you like blow it up on the
Um,
screen? Or?
I linked it to Mercedes. I don't know if she can show it. This is literally 2 days ago, and it's posted by Politico.
Oh, what's there? Where are they getting the information? What's the actual source though? Like I don't want to hear like
Um,
So really quick,
an
does this
opinion
guy
piece.
even if we do show you the source, you don't seem like you give a fuck about the source?
no, he's going to reject it no matter
Yeah,
what.
because
But
you're just telling me an opinion piece, what they think of the source, what they believe the source to be,
well, this
or
isn't an op-ed.
whatever.
This isn't an opinion piece. This is reporting done by Politico that seems to be relying on
Mm-hmm.
local authority. I can't read Ukrainian for what they're sourcing on this, so I can't.
Also, this
Oh
guy
shit!
doesn't. I mean, he
Crazy.
doesn't seem like he wants to even engage in honest debate. So if you want me to move on to someone, like you can always tell me, hey, this guy's dumb. Move on. Like I don't.
Well,
Oh
that's
wow,
okay. I mean, it's good
that's
to.
tough.
I think it's good to
That's tough.
demonstrate. Like this is the endless debating with megas, the constant obfuscating, the inability to
I haven't
recognize
obfuscated.
reality.
I've
Or
just asked you to prove two of your claims. You haven't been able to prove either. Like, what are you talking about?
well,
If
so I
anything, you're
just so
losing this debate.
I literally just sourced you a political article. You can go read it. I guess you don't believe me.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
really
hot garbage.
nobody serious contends that these two countries are still at war. So I can't even believe
No,
that's a
you just
contention. But
told
if you,
me. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, if you want, you can just Google the article I just said, or Mercedes can link it to you. You can tell me if you believe it or not, or if you think it's literally just a lie.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's a lie. I just think it's an opinion piece based off of some source that you say isn't like Ukrainian, so you can't
It's not
decipher
an
where.
opinion piece. It's reporting. What do you mean? It's
If
not an
Politico
op-ed.
reported right now that Trump was the best president, everybody should vote for him, what would you say about that? Would you believe them?
That's an opinion. Trump is the
That's a
best president
hypothetical.
ever.
No, it's a hypothetical to test your logic.
What are you asking me?
I'm asking you, if Politico posted right now that Trump was the best president, everybody go and support him, blah, 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 blah. Would you just take that hook, line, and sinker?
I would believe that that's an opinion piece.
Or well, let's say they said he brokered peace between the Middle East, Ukraine, Russia, and peace is on the horizon, and he brought gas prices down $50, and he saved a bunch of like 500 children.
Sure, if they're reporting that, I imagine that there's probably a peace agreement or something that they've signed. I imagine that if gas prices come down, they're reporting honestly on the gas prices. Yeah, that would be a
So
report
would
by
you?
Politico.
And you? Okay, so you're just going to take that hook, line, and sinker?
I don't know what you mean when you say hook, line, and sinker. I imagine they're reporting that. I would doubt they would just be totally fabricating numbers on their site. So I would probably believe the reporting on that. Yeah. I mean, if
You
I
wait,
am
wait, why
skeptical
do
of
you
it, then I
say?
could dig through the underlying sources and see if I
Why do you
agree
say
or disagree with the
probably
ones.
though? Right? Why do you say probably?
Because
Like,
I'm generally going to believe what's posted in a place like especially like Politico, like AP, Reuters. I'm generally going to believe factually reported things. People aren't generally going to make up, just like
how do you
totally
know it's
wholesale
factual?
fabricate. Because I'm reading it.
Generally.
What do you mean? How am I gonna? How else would you know?
Okay, but you're saying generally, as in like it's not always the case.
It's not inconceivable that somebody could make a mistake or report something incorrectly. That happens. But just
Yeah,
short of me
exactly.
flying to Ukraine and personally visiting Zelensky and then personally asking for visual proof so that I can see a document signed, at the end of the day, I'm always relying on somebody reporting something, no?
Yeah, and what you rely on is not so great. I mean, that's all I'm getting at. You would
Oh,
kind
who
of
do you
have to
rely on
agree.
for
You'd
reporting
have to.
about Ukraine and Russia? Who do you rely on for your reporting for that?
I just rely on my intuition, basically.
So nothing. Your feelings.
I
You
mean,
just
I
earlier
watch.
said that
Well, I
feelings
watch.
are bad. Intuition is your feelings,
I
right?
watch.
So you rely on your
Hang
feelings
on.
for it?
Hang on. Because I have a higher rationale of conscious, I can use deductive reasoning, and of course, I'm watching the news. I'm watching everything you're watching. We all see the
Wait,
same
wait. What
thing,
does deductive
right?
reasoning mean?
Deductive reasoning is you can go A plus B equals C, and you don't have to
Okay,
use
and
a
what are
source, or you do use
you
a
don't use a
source, but
source?
you
What is A and B?
no, I'm saying you can use deductive reasoning to extrapolate what you believe to be true from that source, or from that opinion piece, or from whatever
I
you're
think that's
seeing, right?
induction or abduction, not deduction, but we don't have to philosophy jerk off. But at the end of the day,
Sure,
you have
sure,
to
sure.
find a news source, right? So you're reading a news source, and I'm reading a news source. So you believing a news source is better than me believing a news source. What news sources do you think are more trustworthy than the news sources that I'm relying on, and why?
I never said what I believe is better than what you believe. I'm
Okay,
not
then
the
how
one.
are you
I'm not the
formulating
one
your
sitting here
opinions? What do
making
you?
claims. Dude. This is an internal critique about your logic and your
You're not.
claims.
You
That's
haven't.
it.
This is not an internal critique of my logic. My logic is
Yes.
fine. You're
No,
having an
it's
issue
not
with.
because you said. Remember, I got you talking, right? You're giving me all your claims, and you're telling me what you believe to be true. This is internal critique on what you are thinking, what you believe to be true.
Yes. I generally believe things that I read from credible mainstream media outlets because they have a whole extensive network of people that are in charge of reporting stuff. Generally, the reports are highly corroborated, and 99% of the time, factual matters they report on are correct.
What
Therefore,
do
when I'm
you?
reading a credible whole mainstream media source, I'm generally going to believe that whatever facts they're reporting are going to be credible facts, and then I'm going to use those credible facts to I'm going to base my opinion on whatever's going on based on the facts that are being reported by these places. Yes.
You just randomly Googled, and the first thing that came up, you believed. Right? That's what happened. Don't
Is,
act like you were like looking into this before. You had no idea.
is there
You
I'm
just
any?
not.
pulled up
Hold
your
on.
Google
No, no.
machine.
First of all, it's not that I didn't have an idea. I did have an idea. You asked me to prove it, and I did a source. I did a quick search using Google to go through news websites. I searched for
You clicked the
Ukraine
first thing you
Russia
saw.
attacks. The first thing I saw was an article from Politico.
You know what the way they get to the top of that Google search is by paying, right?
No, that's not how you get to the top of a Google search is by paying.
Well, that's one way. If you have an
No,
SEO,
it's not
sure.
the way. No,
Yes,
SEO.
it
What is
is the
this?
way.
What is this? 1998, where you're hiding stuff in the header of your web page? No, you do it because it's linked for
No,
relevance. Because there's a billion different types of
no,
algorithms that crawl through
no.
websites to figure out what's relevant to a thing that you're searching for.
Yeah, all controlled by Google, which you believed hook, line, and sinker the first thing you looked and clicked, which was at the top. Am I wrong?
Okay.
Well, you keep saying hook, line, and sinker like you're proving something. I'm believing what's written on the website Politico that has
That's what I'm
their
saying you
own
shouldn't be
reporters.
doing. This is the
Okay.
problem
Okay,
with
then
Democrats.
Can
give me an
we?
alternative. Give me an alternative news source that I should believe instead of Politico.
Lachika,
Uh,
did you vote
I
for?
don't know. You'd have to do a little bit more
I
research
don't
and
know.
put
So you
Yes.
have
get a
nothing. You
few
have
different
nothing. So
sources.
you've
I
lost your
tried to
own
say
internal
If you're gonna
something,
critique.
make
You
a
have
but
claim
nothing.
like
you're
that,
not allowing me to because I'm a woman, so it's
No,
fine.
that's not what's going on. They're finishing a debate. I'm just asking, are you MAGA?
I
Lachika,
am indifferent. Let's just say I'm
are you also
Hispanic.
intoxicated?
What?
Never mind. Anyway,
No,
well, it
no,
was
no,
nice
no, no,
chatting with you,
no. Who said
Destiny.
that?
Appreciate
Go
that.
ahead. Show your face.
okay, Lachika, did you vote for MAGA?
No.
Okay.
And again, me being me, you need to understand that I grew up in this country. I literally went above and beyond. I literally have supported everything and anything. Don't. Don't. Like, y'all are arguing over little things that do not fucking.
I think La Chica is smashed, so we're gonna be moving to the next screen. Sorry.
La Chica based queen. If I was getting drunk and going on live spaces, that just seems like a grand old time. So
That's it.
I
That's it.
approve.
We have someone with 1 million followers, so they said they found God. I gave up fame to find God. That sounds great, man. You should let's take you up. Hi. Did you vote for MAGA?
I think that politics is a way for the individuals at the top, the billionaires, to continue dividing the people. I think that you're all pawns in a game of political destruction, instead of recognizing that we have the ability to work together with our honesty, our experiences, to rationally come together and continue progressively evolving.
Why, if billionaires at the top are all seeking to control society, then why do things like wars happen that are really bad for the stock market?
Well, I think that wars happen because we are unintentionally enabling them. We fail to recognize that we are the government.
Yeah, but why would the billionaires make wars happen if it's bad for their portfolios?
I don't know what you mean by their portfolios. I don't really think they care about their portfolios. I think that whoever's at the top, what they care about is resources, more control, and they're not very intelligent about it, right? So these things happen because they're not very witty. They're just powerful. They're in a position of control, and the masses aren't smart enough to value their word, so that we come together and recognize it's not left versus right. It's not me versus you. It's not I'm right, you're wrong. It's something is happening, and we may be rational enough to understand each other and work together. But as long as you continue to enable this I'm right, you're wrong, you're a puppet to them.
Is there any piece of evidence that would like prove you incorrect about this, or what would you have to see to think that you're wrong about this particular belief?
Well, what do you think that I'm wrong about? And do you want me to call you Destiny or Steven?
Steven's fine, but like, what is the evidence, I guess, for this belief?
Okay, by evidence, do you just mean data that increases the probability of something being true?
Yeah, like any evidence at all that this is like a true thing?
Oh, yeah. The evidence is going to be it's self-evident. When you look at literally any kind of problem, literally point to anything, it's going to stem
You can't. The
from.
evidence can't be that it's self-evident. I would just have to assume everything you're saying is true then, and I.
Okay, so when I'm saying that people at the top are going to benefit off of division, this is just going to be synthetically true, because the more divided we are, the more that they get to control us rather than us controlling ourselves.
Wouldn't it be
wouldn't
better? Wouldn't
need
you be able to
them.
control a society that's more unified rather than a society that's more divided?
No, the society would be controlling themselves. We wouldn't rely on things like money. We could have like barter systems.
But why is a barter system better than money?
Well, when we're analyzing money is going to, it's not actually analyzing like our skill set, right? It's just another form of manipulation. So like, let's say that you had the skill to fix my sink and I don't know how to fix my sink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we work together as a community, and you are willing to go and help people with their sink because our unity is all that we need.
Okay, let's say that my skill was fixing like complex problems with your plumbing, but it takes me like 2 days to do that project. What am I supposed to eat while I'm working on your plumbing? How do I get food if I am only able to
Well,
do
if we're
that
working,
skill?
well, the more organized that we are, then the more like the farmers would want to be farmed. Like we all have an intrinsic desire, right?
Sure.
Right. So the intrinsic desire is going to be reflected within a social model if we're safe enough to reflect that. So the farmers want to farm, and through their farming, they get to
Wait,
provide
why would
doing what they
farmers
want to
want
do.
to farm?
It's their intrinsic desire. We just went over this.
No, you asked if we have intrinsic desire. I think we do. I think for like
Right.
things that are pleasurable and fun, but I don't think it's fun to farm. I don't think you have an intrinsic desire to work.
Then you wouldn't be a farmer, right? I think that there are people like my father-in-law. It loves farming.
Okay,
He's a
so
farmer.
If your father-in-law wasn't getting paid for it, do you think he would farm for free?
Yeah, I grew
No,
up.
I think he loves farming. Yeah, if there wasn't a societal need for like money, yeah, he would still want to farm. He loves farming. Yeah.
Do you think
I-
people feel
He
that way?
lo-
Or sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying,
You
I
know,
grew
like-
up farming. That's all I've ever done, and I literally just did it because it's what put food on the table. And then like when I continue farming in the future, it's to make money. I don't know if you've ever been in the fields, but I just don't think that's because I have an intrinsic desire to be out there.
Yeah, I don't think we
Yeah,
could
and
fill every single job in society with an intrinsic desire to do a particular job. I don't know if we have enough people that would want to be heart surgeons or want to be farmers or want to be tailors or craftsmen or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this does exist when there's a need. We're talented, evolved enough, sophisticated enough to fill these slots. And I think that you're seeing this, right? Like you experience that these discussions just create more division. They create more turmoil.
Well, to be clear,
They-
we don't see that anywhere. There's never been any evidence in all of human history. The only evidence that people will work is usually in exchange for something. That's why even your alternative
we
to
would-
money was another type of currency or transaction,
we
which was
would-
bartering.
what we would be getting is the fulfillment of our social, like if it's true that we are social creatures, then our intrinsic desire is to be able to achieve together socially without manipulation. So like think of it like this. Do you agree that me and you are speaking a different language right now while operating under the same alphabet?
Depending on how you want to define the words, sure.
Well, yeah, everything is just going to be based on how we're defining the words, right?
Well, I mean, but what you just said was reductively meaningless. I mean, like, we're speaking the same language if the language is English, but if you mean we have a
No,
different concept of how
that's
the
an
world would
alphabet.
work. English is not an alphabet. The alphabet is whatever I don't know what it's called, it's characters or whatever. English is the language we're speaking.
Yeah, so we have, okay, so we don't have like an English alphabet?
There is an English alphabet, but English is the language that we're speaking. The
Right. No,
script is like
language,
Latin or whatever. I don't know, whatever.
the language that we're expressing is operating under a specific alphabet that is conveying personal truth that we find meaningful. That's how we communicate.
This is Jordan.
All right, regardless of all of this, the point of this live is obviously to talk about politics. You don't want to talk about politics, but if I can bring it to something that does relate to it, you yourself said you don't play the game that is politics. So are you saying that you didn't vote in this last election?
Oh, no. I vote for the people.
And who did you vote for in the last election that represented the people?
I vote for us. I vote for communicating with people to help them understand their privatized personal language system, not to tell them that they're wrong or to destroy them or to be a linguistic terrorist, but to show that me and you can say different words or think that something could be beneficial. But if both of our words are truly good, then we can meet somewhere in the middle. That's what I vote for. That's what I believe.
Okay, I understand that, but isn't there one administration that is trying to take away those words that you can say to others versus another one that promotes actual free speech? Wouldn't you want to vote for the party that does do that? I mean, I think if you're not gonna vote, then why are you? I mean, the conversation is not going to really go anywhere because it's going to go in circles with this.
That was Jordan Peterson's long lost son. So we're gonna go on to Dor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that guy. I don't know.
Me? Are you talking about me?
Yeah, Trump's #1 guy. 17.
Proof nuke. Yeah. I'd like to talk about immigration. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I advocate for a complete, basically, moratorium on immigration. I believe we should take almost the most restrictive stance as possible. I don't think immigration is beneficial to society or the country, or at least our country. And I'd like to defend that proposition.
Yeah, I mean, immigration is clearly beneficial in a number of ways. It just matters what you care about the most, I guess. What are the things you're trying to protect by restricting immigration?
Well, what do you mean by, well, you say it's beneficial in a number of ways. We can go over the number of ways you think it's beneficial, and we can go from there.
I mean, labor is literally one of your most important inputs for an economy. It increases the supply of labor. It increases the ability for businesses to operate. It increases the amount, or decreases the cost of goods and services in society, so people can buy more stuff.
Would you agree that an increase in the supply of cheap labor would also bring down wages? Would you agree with that?
Yes, increase in supply of labor puts a downward pressure on wages. Would you agree that an infinite upward pressure on wages is bad?
An infinite, not necessarily. No.
You think you can have an infinite upwards pressure on wages, and that could be a good thing?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, that's
Would you be
why.
supportive if
What do you
Biden
mean
wanted to
when you
do,
say
if somebody
like
wanted to have like
infinite?
$100 minimum wage? Would you think it'd be a good idea?
I mean, that wouldn't be a good idea, no. But when you say an infinite like upward pressure on wages, that's generally why we want like low unemployment, is because it causes the labor market to be tighter, and thus wages are going up. More people are employed, more people are spending. Generally, we want labor to have somewhat of a larger, relationship, bargaining power, et cetera, over capital.
Yeah, but when unemployment gets too low, that's not good. We want unemployment to be a little higher. Like if unemployment was 2% or 3%, like it was for a while, that's not good. That there's too much upward
Why
pressure
is
on
that
wages,
not
and
good? When we had unemployment at 3.5%, the Fed still failed to meet its like target inflation rate. So apparently, like your made up Goldilocks land of like unemployment rate really wasn't that.
why would unemployment being that low defeat the purpose of the Federal Reserve?
I didn't say that. I said the Fed failed to meet its target inflation rate. We didn't see like a wage price spiral when we had that much low unemployment.
Well, I mean, I don't understand what the point of this is. Like the
I
Federal
grant you
Reserve
don't
enacted
understand it. I'm
monetary
trying to make
policy
it.
to try to, well, it's not so much I understand it, it's that you're trying to say that because the system didn't collapse in 6 months when
No,
unemployment
that's
was low,
not,
that
dude.
defeated the
No,
entire theory of like how unemployment and
total,
inflation have a
total.
relationship with each
This is
other.
a
So
blunder. This is a blunder on your part. So this is a blunder. I said that the Fed failed to meet its target inflation rate when you brought up we don't want unemployment to be that low. Okay, so generally when you say unemployment, we don't want unemployment to be a certain level. You're talking about like how there could be a wage price spiral when unemployment gets too low. And then you brought up, it was at 3%, somewhat that was bad. When we were at like 3.5%, the Fed failed to meet its target inflation rate. Target inflation is around 3%, usually 2 to 3%. During that time period, it was around 1.9%. I'm saying there wasn't that large increase at the price level when unemployment was that low. I advocate for full employment, and I
unemployment
don't.
being that low was a thing for a long time. And when unemployment was that low, the cost of labor in the lower parts of the American labor like quintiles was growing quite rapidly. I think in
And that
the
didn't
I don't
translate to a higher CPI.
well, it did. I mean, these things take time, right? The markets are relatively fluid.
Oh.
They will adapt. It's not like they adjust immediately. Is that your impression that that all prices will change immediately and they are instantaneously
No,
reflecting every
I'm
single market
saying they said
condition?
there's been a target unemployment rate for a long time now, and every time we go below that, there has been no large increase of the price level. This like made up like natural rate of unemployment's relationship to inflation. I don't really see that. There's like a very small to insignificant correlation between prices and unemployment.
So then why do you think every single central bank in the world tries to keep unemployment around like 4.5 to 5.5%? Do you think
They're
everybody is wrong on that?
100%. Well, not everyone's wrong. We have economists who understand how the things work. They're just not in charge of the Federal Reserve. Like Larry Summers said that like he could not explain why monetary policy failed to recover like the 2008 recession. The way that we do monetary policy is like really, really. I would say it's not that
Is
good.
there
But this
is there
is not,
any
this is
economy in the world that runs at full employment or that has run at full employment and been beneficial to that?
there's been any economy. I mean, I would say maybe there's been places that had like a job guarantee that abolished like involuntary unemployment. Yeah, probably.
Wait, I asked, is there any economy that's ever ran at full employment? When you say full employment, do you mean like 0% unemployment or like 0.5% unemployed? What do you mean by that? You mean like literally every single applicable person is employed, right?
No, I said no, 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 no. Full employment doesn't necessarily mean that like every single person that could operate in the labor market has a job. It just usually generally means that like the people who want a job have a job, and so like involuntary unemployment basically isn't a thing.
Okay, so like your U3, your what we usually use is like the unemployment number. That would be at about 0%.
Would it be about? I mean, maybe I don't see a
Approaching.
problem with that.
Is there okay? And then so then my question is there any economy in the world that operates with a less than 1% unemployment
I don't know.
rate?
Probably
That
not.
okay, so how am I even
What's the
supposed to
relevance of
evaluate?
this question?
Well, the relevance is you're positing that there's some ideal way to run the economy, and that's done contradictory to every single economy in the world, and we can't even source a single economy that has ever done something like this. And all
No,
the economic
that's not what happened in this train of dialogue. You said that we don't want unemployment to be too low because it will cause a wage price spiral. And you said when we get to around 3% unemployment, like we did during Trump's first administration, that was bad. And then when I told you that the price level did not even get that high, the Fed's failed to meet its target inflation rate. When unemployment was that low, we didn't see a large increase in inflation. I'm saying that generally when there's low unemployment, like we've seen, and when we have like this somewhat targeted unemployment rate, usually we don't see this large increase of inflation like you posited we would.
I didn't say, first of all, inflation, I think, is usually a lagging indicator to like price increases or cost increase of labor. But there's a whole bunch of other things that could blunt that effect. Um, I'm just trying to figure out, is your qualifier that, like, if unemployment goes to 3%, if we don't see within 1 month like a spike
It's
in
a
the
full year.
CPI?
It's a full fiscal year.
Okay, but like there was inflation. I mean, like, what is the counterfactual? Like, how do we measure what the inflation
wait.
was?
So when we had like a long period of around 3.5% unemployment, that fiscal year we also had the CPI at around, I believe, like 1.92%, something around that, right?
For what year? For what year was this?
I believe 2019.
Okay,
Like
we're not even
generally,
talking
there's
the
not that
post-COVID time then.
No. That was right before COVID, I believe. Like
Okay,
either way, there's not that large. There's almost hardly any correlation between like unemployment and like prices.
okay, just talk me through the theory of how this could possibly be the case. If you
No,
agree
you
that,
need to posit why it would be the case.
sure, I can very easily do that. If unemployment gets too low, we agree that would put an upward pressure on labor, right? That if there's fewer people seeking jobs, that firms would have to offer more money. I think we would agree, or I would say, that cost of labor is a huge cost of doing business, and that as your cost of labor increases, you would have to charge more money in the final product in order to return a
No.
profit to the end. Okay, how would you make extra money?
Oh yeah, because when people are making more money, they're also spending more money. So as people are spending more monies at businesses, you're usually going to see the profit margin go up as people are spending more. This is
Well,
just
but if
wage.
they're spending more money,
profit.
if you're spending more money, that means that the prices went up.
That the prices went up?
What are they spending more money on if the prices aren't going up?
No. If people have more in their income, they're spending more of that disposable income, right? So if you're making more money, you're spending also more money. Do you see what I'm saying? People are buying more things because they have a larger income.
Yeah, but the cost of manufacturing those things is increasing if you're paying more money for labor. Labor is a huge component of the cost of manufacturing.
This is just like wage profit. This is just like wage profit stuff, right? If people are
Hold on,
making...
wait, hold on. Stop. That sentence doesn't mean anything. If I'm a manager at a restaurant and I am sending food out to customers and I've got to pay my employees a certain hourly wage, if that hourly wage increases, I'm gonna have to increase the cost of the stuff.
Why is it? No, that's not necessarily true at all. Almost every time there's a minimum wage hike, you don't see that large increases of cost of goods.
We're not talking about empirical. You wanted to do theoretical, and I'm saying
we can
theoretically.
do both. There's no
let's do the theory. If I have to pay more money to my employees,
okay, you can run away from
I'm not running away from anything. If I have to pay more money to my employees, why wouldn't that increase it would be, hold on, well, let's do this once at a time. If I have to pay more money to my employees, you agree that would decrease my profit margin, right?
Well, it matters why the wages are going up, right? So if there's an increase of wages, there's a couple things that could be happening. Productivity could be going up. And there could just be a general increase of wealth into the economy. If people are making more money, they're also more likely to be spending
we're not talking about any of that. We're talking about a restricted supply of labor, not an increase in labor productivity. We're talking about a restricted supply of labor such that I have to offer more money to hire the same employee to do what another employee would have done for cheaper.
I understand that.
So if I'm paying more money to an employee per hour to do the same work that they would have done before, that means that my profit is decreasing per item sold.
That's not okay. So there's two things that could be happening. Okay, just because there's an increase of the profit, like the production process, because this whole initial conversation is about there's an echo.
Yeah, where's it coming from? Is it coming from me?
I don't know where it's coming from. I just know I can hear myself talk.
It might be Mercedes.
It's all right. It's all right. This initial conversation was about the cost of goods. Okay, so if wages are going up and the cost of labor is going up, okay, that is true.
I
That's
thought it
going
was
to
about
cause the
immigration.
production process to go up, right?
No,
Obviously.
no, wait. This should be, wait. I don't know why we're going all the way. This is a very simple question. If it costs me, let's say that I sell a cheeseburger for $10 and it costs me $8 in labor and $1 in burger parts, so $9 to make the burger,
Mhm.
and then I sell it for 10. If my labor goes up to $9 and the burger parts are still $1, now it costs me $10 to sell the burger for $10. Isn't that reducing my profit?
No, no, that does not necessarily reduce your profit because there's multiple things that could mediate that increase of cost of labor, such as there could be an increase of productivity, right? So now people are making more burgers,
No,
right?
no, no,
So
no,
now
no.
they're selling
We're
more
not
burgers.
increasing productivity because an
That's what
increase in
happens when you increase wages.
No, that's not what happens when you increase
Yes,
wages.
okay.
No, you're talking about increasing wages by restricting the supply of labor. If you restrict the supply of labor, what you're saying is that the acquisition of labor is going to cost more money because the supply of labor is going to go down, right? So the demand for that labor is going to be higher. So the cost of that labor is going to increase. You're not talking about an
Right.
increase in productivity. We're merely talking about a restriction of the supply. So if we're
Bro,
restricting the
when
supply, we're
people
going to
get paid more money, their productivity goes up because they have a larger incentive to work because now they're getting paid more money. Do
well,
you
then why
understand how
wouldn't
that
firms
follows?
just naturally? No, I don't. Why wouldn't firms just naturally just pay people more money?
You don't think there's an incentive for firms to pay more money as if there is, like, of course, like equal competition in the labor market and things of that nature, just like
If that
all things
incentive
else
existed,
being
then
equal,
why would they
firms.
do? Then why wouldn't they do it right now?
What? Because there's like there's monopsony power and there's like unequal relationship to capital to labor. But like generally, right? Do you not agree that like firms have an incentives to increase wages? Like you don't agree with that?
No, I think firms have an incentive. Labor is a
Okay.
cost of doing business. I think you're going to pay the least you can for labor. You pay the least you can for all of your inputs, your cost
Just
inputs, of
not
course.
it's just not really true, right? Because there's a reason why as productivity goes up, wages also goes up, right? It's because as you pay people more and as people are producing more things, they get compensated more for that labor.
No, the reason is because more productive
Oh my
labor is
Jesus.
generally lower supplied, right? There's usually a lower supply of
No.
more. No, you think
No.
there's a higher supply or a lower supply of
That
more
doesn't
productive
that's
versus
not
less
why
productive
more
labor?
productive people get paid more money, dude, because people can be working in the same firm doing the same job and be more productive and they'll get a raise in their pay.
But in general, more productive labor is more scarce than less productive labor.
That's true, but that doesn't contradict anything I said.
No, but I'm explaining why people pay more money for more productive labor. People don't become more productive because you pay them more. You pay them more because they are more productive. You pay them more because there's a higher demand
Both of
for
those
higher
cases
productivity
could be true.
labor, which
Both
is,
of those things could be true. You see how both of those things
if
can
they
be the
could be true,
case?
then my question would be, why don't firms right now just spontaneously offer more money to their employees to make
Because
them
there's
more
an
productive?
unequal relationship to capital to labor. That's
Doesn't
why.
matter if there's an unequal relationship. You're telling me that
Yes,
there's an incentive.
it
You're saying that
does.
if the firm itself offers more money to the employee, isn't it a higher productive employee? Isn't that good for the firm?
So you're telling me you're telling me right now that firms do not have an incentive to increase wages. You don't think that happens? You don't think there's been a nominal year over year increase in real wages? You don't think that happens? You don't think that's happening?
They can increase wages, but do you acknowledge that a firm wants to pay the least amount of money possible because labor is a cost of doing business?
Sure.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. So a firm's goal is to get the least amount of money possible, or is to pay the least amount of possible to get the most
No,
work
no, no,
possible,
no,
right?
no, no. The firm's goal is not to pay the amount, like the pay the least amount of money possible. It's to make the most amount of money possible. That's
Yes,
why.
and making money is profit,
That's
which is
why
the difference
Ford.
between your
That's why
cost and
Ford.
your.
That's why like Ford. Like that's why everyone's knows like Ford for like decreasing the work hours and things of that nature because if you treat your workers well, they'll be more productive. The goal of a firm is to make the most money as possible. It's not necessarily to decrease the amount of cost of everything as possible. Those firms don't do very well.
I mean, like there's gonna be like a limit, of course, because there's gonna be hopefully other firms competing with you for paying employees a certain wage. But in
Right.
general, do you agree that employees are trying to get the most money possible for their labor?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't the contrapositive of that be true? If employees are trying to get the most money for their labor, then shouldn't
That's
firms be trying to offer the least amount of money for the labor?
No, that doesn't necessarily follow, right? Because okay, employees, their salary is reliant on their labor. Okay, they're reliant on the business. Okay, the business is not their profit margin is not necessarily reliant on their employees. Do you see how that follows?
Okay,
No.
we're gonna let RC have a go at it because people in the comments.
Okay, it was nice talking to you, Destiny. I hope you like your relationship with your son fixes because you blocked him on
Thanks, bud.
Twitter.
Don't worry. I hope my relationship with your mom continues to be great.
Yeah, real good funny, Yod. How
It is.
What a note to end on. Yeah, I think zooming in, we should take LGBT out of schools. Zooming out, it's immoral.
Like gay kids should be kicked out of school, or what does that mean?
No, stop teaching the LGBT agenda to children in public schools.
What is the LGBT agenda?
Talking about these adult sexuality. Don't tell children that. Let the
Just
parents
use-
tell them that if they want.
RC,
Like, don't
just
tell-
use language that won't get the live ban. Like, I'm
Well,
sorry.
What did I
know-
say? What did I say that I can't say?
Smexuality. I know it makes it sound like a bunch of immature like 5-year-olds. I get it. It sucks, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
The sexuality of adults don't need to be taught to children. If the parents want to teach them that leave it to the parents, but not teachers.
You don't think it would be relevant for some like author, artist, leaders background that they might have an alternate orientation?
It's not their moral obligation to tell children that are not their kids that. No.
It's not about a moral obligation. It's about like teaching the facts of history.
Well, it's immoral though. These relationships are immoral, and they're trying to they're desensitizing it and making it seem like it is normal and fine, and it's not. So we have a clash.
So what about like if like premarital relationships? Like should all of those be avoided as well? Like if people aren't married, should they not report that people had kids with somebody? Or
I'm talking about children in public school.
yes, and I'm talking about should you teach children if like a leader or two people had like a kid who weren't married yet?
No, don't tell. What classroom is that at all appropriate to tell children that are not your kids about romantic relationships of adults?
History class?
History class, they need to talk about adult romantic relationships to children?
Well, like if you're
Why?
studying like kings and queens, like wouldn't it be relevant to talk about like these monarchs married each other or they had children or
Yeah, I guess you could teach the general overview of what that word marriage means. But once the kids start asking questions, well, can a king marry a king? And it's a moral question, you leave it to the parents and the teacher doesn't answer.
how about we just leave it to the school districts to be voted on
That's
by like the
perverted.
people that live in the
Because that's perverted and gross, that's why.
that can be your opinion, but not everybody shares the same opinion as you about that, right?
But we're taxpayers, and most taxpayers' parents don't want their children learning this perverted worldview. So
Then
why don't you just leave it to the parents?
can't they just vote on that then for their school district and then they can figure out what they want to teach in their schools?
Yeah, they can do that, but I'm telling you my position. So why should children learn about adults' sexualities from someone that's not their parent in public school? Why is that even appropriate?
Because school is a place where you go to educate people and hopefully where people can get educated. And sometimes people's orientations are relevant to their upbringing or they're relevant to the way they experience life. And they might be relevant to the historical thing that you're learning about.
What is a child learning that a grown man puts his wiener in another dude's butt? Education. That's disgusting. It's perversion.
I mean, I think if you're fixated on the actual sexual act or whatever the act itself, yeah, that would be kind of weird. I don't think you need to go over that. But I think that learning about a person's orientation might be relevant to the struggles or whatever that person faced in life, and understanding that might give you some insight or understanding into it depends on what you're studying in history, I guess, right?
Well, I mean, he can. I think he's fine to come back as long as he censors those words.
He won't. That guy is. From
I
what the
know.
chat says, he's notorious for saying anything he can to get a live taken down. But,
The rules. He will.
huh?
He'll respect the rules. Just tell him what he can and can't say.
But I can't like if he is every single time he says something, I can't just be
Yeah.
like, okay, you can't say this. Okay, you can't say this. Okay, you can't. I mean, by the time we get to all 150 words that he blurts out, that would be common sense not to say. The live.
Yeah, I was just saying if you bring him back to count.
Oh, you go ahead and you do your thing.
Oh man, I don't even know what to argue with Destiny about. I was hoping to third party other conversations. What's up, Steven?
Why?
What's on your minds? What have you been talking about lately?
I guess the whole Iran war stuff.
Yeah, what's your position on that?
I feel like Donald Trump has like fumbled a lot of this Middle Eastern stuff pretty horribly.
In what way?
Well, I mean, I would argue that the where we're at right now when it comes to bombing, I say bombing, when it comes to attacking Iran, I would say that there's a direct result of like tearing up the JCPOA and not having any other type of deal in place. That Trump's hostility towards Iran didn't seem to serve any positive purpose or anything.
Okay. Do you think that like Israel strikes on Iran were justified?
Yeah, probably, I guess, yeah.
Okay. So your only contention is going to be mostly like leaving the agreement.
I think that's a huge part. Yeah, I think that we're at where we're at right now because of Trump's reckless approach to the Middle East. Yes.
Okay, and so if there was like let's say Trump like entered office and there was no agreement and it wasn't that he left the agreement, would you say then that the strike was just or unjust?
I mean, I think the strike can be just or unjust regardless of whether there's agreement in place or not, right? Well, I mean, you wouldn't want to violate an agreement, but I mean, I understand why
Right.
both sides are doing what they were doing. But I don't think that, yeah, I think that Trump's recklessness it drove us to the point where we had to strike Iran, or Israel felt like they had to strike Iran.
Okay, perfect. So, but you think that like with it, absent an agreement that the strike was justified, you felt we had to do it basically.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't have like I don't know that I would have like a super strong position on like staying in or leaving the agreement. I think that it's very difficult to police nuclear programs in the first place externally without using force to prevent nuclearization. Like we tried to do with Israel, obviously that didn't work. They were actively developing nuclear weapons as we monitored their facilities. I'm not saying that Israel shouldn't have nuclear weapons. I think they probably should. But we have tried to police nuclear programs in the past and it hasn't worked, even with inspections. So I think that being in an agreement that we think will prevent Iran from having nukes, I don't think would prevent them from having nukes in the first place. I also think that
Yeah, but at the very least, if we had an agreement and they were violating the agreement, you could build like an international coalition and you'd have way more like moral and legal and international authority.
Yeah, but I think by that point it'd probably be too late, right? Like if they're
you could literally do the exact same thing you're doing now, but if they were in violation of the agreement, you'd have more international authority to do what you were doing.
Yeah, but if they already have nukes by the time you've built your case in your international coalition, it just seems largely ineffective. I think that most
you don't have to build. Wait, you don't have to build your case. The case would be built as they were in violation of the JCPOA.
Right, but to take action, right? Like you're saying, to take action, you need to like build an international coalition and go through like international channels, right? At this point, by the time you manage to get all the international politicians on board with whatever you want to do, it's too late. Iran already has a bomb, so I think that I don't know.
I don't know. Wait, hold on. I don't know what you can say this. No, you don't have to do any of that. You could say we have a JCPOA. They're not following it, and now we're going to go in. If somebody wants to join us, we can do this on an incredibly expedited timeline. There's no rule that says we would have to wait months and months to.
So what's the difference between doing it with or without the agreement?
Well, because without the agreement, Iran has little incentive to actually follow any kind of structure to refrain from going after nuclear weapons. Donald Trump laid on all the sanctions and started attacking the country as much as possible, like economically. So, of course, from Iran's perspective, I think them pursuing weapons was reasonable. It makes sense why they're doing it.
I think they always have an incentive to pursue nuclear weapons regardless because Israel has nuclear weapons. So like,
I think they did it before because Obama was able to release funds to them that have been locked up. Like you could put them on a path towards economic stability. Yeah, like you would want to incentivize them or massage them in a way where, look, there's a good reason not to pursue nuclear weapons because you get these benefits. But then Trump took all of that off the table when he left the JCPOA.
Right. I don't think that it's a good idea.
Towards economic stability. Yeah, like you would want to incent. There's a good reason not to pursue nuclear weapons because you get these benefits. But then Trump took all of that off the table.
I don't think that it's a good idea to prop Iran up in the first place, right? So if you use force to prevent them from having nukes without propping them up, I think that's probably the most ideal option as opposed to like giving Iran money. Because
do we want Iran to be a failed state?
Wait. Again, we were doing the same thing with Israel. We were giving them money and weapons, and they developed.
Israel's not a failed state. That's not even remotely related. I'm saying, what should the goal be for Iran?
Iran's not a failed state right now either.
Sure, but do you want them to be a failed state, or what is the goal for Iran?
No, we don't want them to have nuclear weapons. We also don't want to prop them up, though they're our enemy.
Okay, so then the goal is to...
We know they're hostile, right? So giving them money probably isn't the option. We don't want them to have nukes. We should use force to prevent them from having nukes. We also shouldn't prop them up with money. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not about propping them up with money. It's about just like not sanctioning them.
Because we give them money and weapons doesn't mean that they're going to not develop a bomb, right? Again, we did this exact same thing with Israel. Now I'm more sympathetic to Israel because they're not hostile maniacs, but we gave weapons and money to Israel and told them they can't develop a bomb and did inspections in their facilities, and they still developed a bomb regardless.
I don't know what the tie to Israel has to do with this. I'm looking at for Iran. Okay, I agree. We don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, so I feel like we should pursue the path that makes the most sense to make it so they don't get nuclear weapons. And it seems like some level of economic cooperation was good there. But then
Yeah,
Donald Trump
the
tossed.
point is that we had a denuclearization or a nuclear proliferation agreement with Israel as well, and they did it anyway. We did all the things with Israel that you're saying we should have done with Iran, or that we did do with Iran, and it didn't work. They
Wait,
still
But it was a
developed a
different
bomb.
time. It was a different time.
So what?
It was a different set of conditions around the planet. It was a different set of things going on that enabled Israel jointly with South Africa to do the research and to do the testing and everything to procure nuclear weapons. But this was done in the 70s or
Yeah,
late
yeah,
60s,
and
early
now there's
70s.
more
But
access to information about how to develop a bomb. Like
sure,
Iran
but
could develop a
I'm just saying
bomb.
that just because Israel developed a nuclear weapon back then doesn't mean that everybody will take the same process. Like I think things have probably meaningfully changed around the world. And if we think it's inevitable that they're going to secure a nuclear weapon, then what? So do we just keep bombing them every time they go for it, or?
I suppose so. I mean, tell me this: what conditions are different now?
Wait, but you understand that we didn't just like send Iran like a bunch of billions of dollars. Like you know that we're just unlocking sanctions, and they actually don't have direct access to that money.
Why should we unlock sanctions to our enemy?
Well, sanction is a punishment, no?
But yeah, that's true.
Not just sanctions aren't just punishments.
Wait, but
Sanctions are restrictions.
Wait, do you understand how they get access to that money? Because the way that they get access to that money is tracked. Like we track what they do with that money. Well, we don't. The United States.
I'm sure. So like, if Iran gave us money, well, yeah, we're tracking the money. Like, I doubt it, right? Like, we really probably have no idea.
I can look at the organization that tracks it.
And again, just because you have inspections or you're tracking whatever doesn't mean anything. Because again, we did this exact same thing with Israel, where we policed their nuclear facilities. They were producing energy. We told them don't produce a bomb, and they did it anyway. We gave them money, we gave them resources, and we said we'll give you all this stuff. Don't produce a bomb. We're going to do inspections. They did it anyway. So I want to ask Stephen, what conditions he thinks are different today that would...
The conditions are that we really don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. I think we were a little bit more indifferent to the South Africa, Israel nuclear projects.
Okay,
nuclear was
it
was the Soviet Union time, and people were getting nuclear weapons, and I think we kind of like weren't as concerned with it.
Okay, so the argument is just that like you think we basically like just let Israel get a bomb even though we were inspecting their facilities? Do you think it was like...
I think basically, I mean, we knew they were testing it, right? There, I don't know what the name of the island is or whatever, south of South Africa, but like we saw the nuclear testing happening. But I think we were just kind of like indifferent-ish to it because it was us versus the Soviets. It was the Cold War. Like we didn't have the strongest opposition in the world to Israel getting a bomb. Like, do you think we had the same opposition to Israel getting a bomb back then as we do to Iran getting a bomb now?
No. You're right. I think that we probably pretty much let them get a bomb. But like, regardless, I still think that like whether or not we do inspections in their facilities or whatever, I still think that doesn't stop them from getting a bomb. Because like in reality, we don't have people on the we don't have like an intelligence apparatus that is capable of like monitoring everything that Iran is doing, especially if they're doing it underground. Like we have.
Well, the only thing we needed access to, I think, was their nuclear facilities where they're doing all of the uranium enrichment, right? It's not like you can hide that.
Sure, you can. I mean, sure you can. You could just build a facility in a different place. Like I don't think that
they're
it would be
huge
difficult.
Facilities that require a ton of energy. You can't hide 1,000 centrifuges, right?
I think their current facility is pretty hidden. We know where it is because we're doing inspections on it. But I don't think
if we say we know where it is, I feel like that's the opposite of it being.
I still don't think it would be difficult for Iran to hide the development of a nuclear bomb, regardless of whether it was the same level of.
If we believe that, then shouldn't we be like bombing them like into another administration right now? Then, if we think they could hide and possibly secretly go for a nuclear bomb right now.
What was the question?
You make it sound like there's like an inevitability right now then that they're going after nukes and that they're going to get a nuclear bomb, and so shouldn't we just like bomb them
Sure. I think that we should like basically obliterate their capability of having a bomb for sure. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I feel like I would hope that there would be a better way to do things, that like you could use like the carrot instead of the stick, and I feel like the Obama path on that was better than the bomb stuff that's going on right now.
Do you think that it would make sense to like use the carrot instead of the stick on North Korea?
I think when right you have now, probably not, but they already have nuclear weapons, and they're a little bit supported by China. So
I think that when you have like an erratic, totalitarian dictatorship that is religiously fundamental, and like has vendettas against you and your ally that run so deep that they're burning your flag in their alleged parliament, which isn't actually a parliament, I don't think that you can use the carrot. I think that you have to.
I mean, Americans literally burn their own flags right now on the street, so I don't know how that relevant that is. I don't. I think that all of
Random
the
like
evidence has shown
boneheads.
over the past couple of years, like a couple decades, even, Iran is definitely not an erratic state. Like they're pretty rational actors. They don't do like insanely crazy, unhinged stuff. Like it seems like for the most part, they act a way you would expect a rational, reasonable state to act.
What do you mean they don't do like random unhinged stuff? They're the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the entire world. They fund Hamas that carried out the October 7th terrorist attack. What do you mean they don't do erratic stuff?
Yeah, but if they're operating via proxies, right? They're doing it because they want to maintain some sense of legitimacy as a country, and that type of plausible deniability or plausible extension shows that they're not just an insane, unhinged fundamentalist state that would, because otherwise they would just do it themselves. They wouldn't fund a proxy. They would just go and do it themselves.
They're doing it through proxies not to maintain legitimacy. I don't think they care what like the international community really thinks of them. Evidently,
to some extent they do, right? Like everybody knows that Wagner Group was part of Russia, but like Russia still operated over Rug, and they have that plausible deniability there. But everybody knows it.
The reason that they're doing it through proxies is because they're not capable of waging an intercontinental war. It's not because they want to maintain international legitimacy. It's because, okay, we have a group positioned here that aligns with our values. We should just give them money so they blow up Israel for us. It's cheaper, it's more effective, and you don't have to wage a cross-continental war.
Yeah, these things all sound like rational actors conducting warfare. But they were irrational. They would just try to rally up their army and go do a ground invasion of Israel, or just like constantly shoot missiles.
It's not rational. Killing over 1,000 people and funding the killing of over 1,000 people and thousands of missiles going into Israel aren't rational things because they're doing.
Wait. How is that not rational? If you hate a country, you want the people to die, and you're trying to kill them. Isn't it super rational to fund proxy groups?
All their people to die is not rational.
How is it irrational? You can't hate a country
it's irrational to hate a country and want every person in that country to die. The people who were killed in October 7th largely weren't military targets.
It sounds like you're using rational and irrational in place of like thing I agree with and thing I disagree with, or thing I like and thing that I don't.
No, it's erratic.
Like you could be. It's not erratic at all. It was very intentional and targeted.
What is rationality, Destiny?
Rationality is in there is some outcome that you hope to effect, and you want to maximize, in this case, the state, like your own survival.
So just having an outcome and acting strategically on that outcome is rational. So like if I buy a gun and go shoot up a school, that's a rational action.
Bro.
If your goal is to just in a video game, Minecraft.
In a video game.
If your goal is to remove children from class as much as possible, then yeah, that would be
crazy.
Rational.
That's crazy that you would agree that that's irrational. It's erratic and irrational.
Wait, stop saying erratic, because you're throwing that in there. What is the difference between rational and irrational?
I'm just operating off of Stephen's definition. He said that rational acting is any time that you seek to achieve something and
go about the appropriate measure. Yeah. So like, for instance, if I really wanted my girlfriend to love me, and then I text her and call her 5 million times because I feel like she's not returning my calls quick enough, I would say that person is being irrational. That's not very rational, because you're literally not going to effect the outcome.
Sure. So then I'm just like using like when I say irrational, I'm not speaking in terms of like it's what's the best way to put this? I'm not saying rational or irrational in terms of I have a goal and I know how to logically carry out that goal.
Are you saying something like against like your first order interests or something like that? Like
sure, probably, or like
that might be a weird. I think that's kind of idiosyncratic.
Yeah, no, it makes. I mean, what Destiny's saying makes sense. That is like probably a legitimate definition of rational, but unlike not in the colloquial sense. Like when most people say, like this person is a school schmooter was being irrational, or it's irrational to schmoot up a school, right? I think most people would like consider that irrational, but they're not talking about it in the sense of this person had a goal and logically acted.
I mean, we can use different words if we want, I guess. But it's important when we're talking about a state, because rationality and irrationality, I think, are important because they help you predict the actions of the player, right? And Iran, for all intents and purposes, is a rational actor, and they give forewarning before they attack sites. They did it with the base in Qatar that they bombed. Yeah. They did it after we killed Soleimani. So this is a rational actor, and the way that you would treat them would be a lot different than you would treat. I would argue somebody like ISIS. ISIL, I don't know what I can say on here. I would argue that that was an irrational actor. These people were actually insanely fundamentally driven, such that like if I had to choose between those people having a nuclear, I don't know if I can say that, weapon versus like Iran, I would choose Iran a million times over. because Iran is a more rational, self-interested actor that isn't going to do things that would immediately cause it to self-destruct. Whereas if the other people in the desert had a nuclear weapon, I think they might self-detonate it in a state because they think it would be cool and
Sure,
epic.
sure, yeah. I don't think the Ayatollah or the government of Iran are like stupid by any measure. I do think that they're fundamentalist to some degree. But on top of that, I think the reason that Iran gave warning when they attacked the base in Qatar wasn't because they wanted to. I don't think these things come from like, oh, we're acting rational. I think it does come from self-interest, which I guess under your definition would be rational. I think the reason they do it is because in the Middle East, well, actually two reasons: A, posturing, and B, in the Middle East, it's like very obvious if somebody attacks you, like you have to respond or you're viewed as weak. And if you fail to act and you fail to respond, you risk being overthrown by your own people because you're weak. Now, Iran is probably less susceptible to that risk because they're a more stable country than others. But
I mean, that's almost the same as like what we're doing. That at least the first condition is almost the same exact like reason that we go and bomb Middle Eastern countries is because like we can't be seen as weak. We have to be the strongest military in the world. Like
exactly, yeah. Well, yeah. Also because like look at 9/11 for example. If Al Qaeda was to like blow up the two biggest towers in the United States and murder 3,000 people, and we did nothing, that would just tell other fundamentalist groups like, go ahead, it's fair game, nothing will happen to you. Which is again the same reason why Israel had to retaliate after 10/7 or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess my only point is that if we agree that Iran acts with rationality, that they don't want to collapse as a regime and they want to get something done, that if you use the carrot, that they might be more incentivized by economic activity and the growth of their economy, and the people might like that more, and the leadership would be more stable, rather than just constantly bombing them and expecting something magical to change. I guess that's how I feel like it'd be a better way to lead, but that's my perspective on it.
yeah, aren't you a libertarian? Like, do you not hold to like the gentlest means principles?
Oh, how did you know that?
I mean,
I don't hold. So I'm like, I'm like a minarchist in terms of like government action on its people, but I think that it's very difficult to maintain libertarian values when you talk about geopolitics and foreign policy. Like most libertarians, I think would probably not want any war, right? But unfortunately, war is a fundamental fact of reality, and it happens, and it's the world we live in. So it's like very difficult to hold libertarian principles on the international stage as it relates to war and foreign policy.
I mean, I still don't think that like there's been a reason given why we should use that type of approach versus the other type of approach. Like, especially if you're typically a libertarian, like I'm not sure why you wouldn't apply that type of gentlest means principle here. Like that.
Yeah, because these aren't like the act. So like generally when I'm talking about like libertarian theory and like capitalism and how I think the government should govern its people, I'm going to be, again, talking about how the government should govern its people. These are defensive actions. They're not how the government should govern its own people. The only way this would apply is like, let's say there was a one world government, which I don't support, right? Then you could, if two regions go to war with each other, two states within this world government go to war with each other, you could apply like libertarian principles to prosecute each of them in some way, but that would still probably result in war. So in terms of like war and international conflict and foreign policy, it's really impossible to apply libertarian principles, I think.
Right, but what would but I mean, look, you're giving me the reason why you would apply it in the United States specifically for our people. And then you're saying, okay, well, we should be able to like apply a different principle outside of this for some reason, because I feel like there will be war afterwards. I'm not sure.
And it really is. I mean, it does basically like boil down to libertarian principles, honestly. Like, I guess more so with like Israel, but not this specific thing. We're kind of defending our friend a little bit here. And also, obviously, we don't want Iran to develop a nuclear weapon that's capable of striking the United States, because as of right now, they're not capable of striking the United States. But we know that they want to kill the United States because they openly chant death to America. So I don't know. We are.
I mean, tons of countries. Like if you go there, you can find some right wing extremist group that's going to say like death to America, like that.
Right, but it's not a right wing extremist group. It's their government.
Well, some of their government officials are saying that, yes, but there's not evidence.
They're actually like chanting it in massive halls with their politicians.
Okay, look, if there's not evidence though that has resulted in some like full out war, or
it's like a threat.
If there's not evidence that that's going to be the case here, I don't understand why you would take the more aggressive approach.
So like in terms of like non-aggression principle and like acting in self-defense and the right not to be unjustly aggressed upon, stuff like that, which are libertarian values, right? If I look you in the face and say, I'm going to pull out a gun in 10 seconds and shoot you, I think that you should be able to pull out a gun and shoot me first because I've now threatened aggression towards you.
I think, Mercedes.
I don't I'm. It's okay. Their brain is working fine. It's okay. Leo Bain, would you like to give us a go?
Yeah, let's go.
Perfect.
So I mean, I'm kind of with the guy on like Iran screaming death to America.
Hold on. You're sure enough real strong here. Do we want to go? Because I think the audience is like done with the war topic. Do we want to go? What is your other
War topic? Also, I have to leave because it's past 9 o'clock for me. Okay. I can do this again tomorrow if you want, though. But
perfect. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. I love you. I love you, Cam. Is he gone?
You're the absolute best, dude. Goated.
Where did he go?
Who?
Oh, well. Cam. That was the guy that was here before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cam Higby?
Yeah. Wait, you guys know him, right? Or I assume you do?
Yeah, I thought you've talked to him before. No?
Yeah, that's why I said I love him. I said I love you, Cam.
Oh. Girl. Okay. Never mind. No comment.
Wow. Okay. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Bro cannot figure out how to leave.
Dude, that is awesome. He's fucking cool. Okay, Anne, are you ready to take on some people? We can maybe get 2 more up here.
2 more? I think I can push through 2 more. Yeah.
Cool. Who wants to go?
Well, what was the last claim made by Leo?
I have.
I hadn't gone yet. I was going to talk about the war, but we're over the war.
That's like, I know, like to some of us that's a topic, but I think half of the chat is like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I support Trump.
What was the biggest reason you voted for him?
I think he's just somebody that is full of action. He's not afraid to grab the bull by the horns. He's not afraid to confront China. He's not afraid to go take out Iran's nuclear facilities. He understands the human dynamic of how fear is a deterrent and peace through strength. That is the reason.
Sorry, I didn't know if C-Max was talking to him. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, it's okay. Go ahead if you have something to say. So you think, though, we should achieve peace through strength? Do you think it's a good thing to be aggressive towards those who could be our allies?
It depends. I mean, how aggressive are you talking? Are you just talking about like trade talks and tariffs, or?
I guess let me ask you. When you say strength, what do you mean by strength?
Well, showing the whole world that we can send 7 B-2 of those things across the world and nobody had any idea. I think that scares the crap out of a lot of people.
So you're saying that it's good to be a warmonger?
I think war is just a part of life.
Okay, but still, you're saying that it's good that Trump is a warmonger, and you support that?
I support us being the one that controls the morality of the world and not, keeping countries that will use nuclear weapons for sure, and making sure those countries don't ever get them, because there are a lot of rogue nations that want to use those.
By being a warmonger.
However,
right.
we
Is
can
that what you're
do it.
saying?
Yeah.
Bro, how are you a young conservative?
I am so sorry to interrupt you guys because I totally forgot. I got to do this really quick. Hi guys, we're going on the Unfuck America Tour. Destiny, the people on this panel, we are going to be heading to Tampa, Florida on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. We're doing the Student Action Summit. We're combating Charlie Kirk. He's going to be there. We're going to go and we're going to bring, our team and be like, oh, here we go. Yeah, so if you want to buy tickets to that, it can be found in the link in my bio or Anne's bio or C-Mags's bio. And if you want to donate, the link is in the same bio. It's a link tree. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I guess really the principle here is you support warmongers, and that is how you think that the United States should govern its position on a global stage.
Yes.
Okay. And do you think that we've been able to obtain anything by being a warmonger in the past? Or is diplomacy the way that most countries who are doing any type of business together, whether it be economically or militarily, have gone through that through diplomacy. Let me rephrase another way. Like, if you're looking for a partner, an ally, is it better to threaten them, or is it better to work together with them and form some sort of an alliance?
We got to realize not everybody is a potential ally. Really, there's countries that just don't believe other countries should exist, and there's conflicts that arise. And not diplomacy is not always the answer. It is the answer sometimes, and peace through strength is the answer other times.
I feel you. I feel you. So if you're looking to be the warmonger and be the one that uses strength to put fear in those eyes, would you go at, you're saying, I'm assuming, you would go after those that pose the biggest threats to us, correct?
Yes. I mean, it just depends.
Why has Trump been cozying up to dictators? Wouldn't North Korea and Russia be the ones that we would be going after in the same way?
Well, those countries, Russia has nuclear weapons, so that's a whole different story than talking about stopping a country from building nuclear weapons. And as far as the peace through strength part, so it kind of depends how you want to see it. But in World War II, a lot of people think that we dropped the A bombs on Japan because we didn't want to send our soldiers there. Yes, that's partially true, but we also wanted to show Russia what we were capable of, because we knew there was going to be a big conflict between us and Russia once the war ended. And so we wanted to show Russia. And that's a big reason why nothing ever happened after that, because Russia was like, oh, crap.
So I guess just to go back to the beginning
sometimes it is the answer. Good.
So again, I just want to make sure that we're kind of sticking to the idea of why you voted for Trump. You voted for Trump because you want him to show strength by being aggressive towards everybody in the world, right? That's the plan. And by doing this, has he been able to?
It doesn't have to be military wise. Like, I really appreciated that he was the first president to really stand up to China and take them to battle on trade stuff, because they were taking advantage of us. I mean,
so is it worthwhile then? Is it worthwhile then to punish the American people in order to show strength?
How did he punish the American people?
Well, he tariffed China, and a tariff is a tax on Americans, right? So we're just spending more of the money that we don't have, proportionately to what your income is, because tariffs are going to disproportionately affect lower income people. We're going to hurt those people more, make them spend more money on products to do what? Like, what's the end deal? To have China afraid of us? Like, what's the end goal by tariffing China?
The end goal is to balance out the trade, have them buy oil from us, have them buy energy from us, not have a almost $1 trillion trade deficit with China. That's us. Even Warren Buffett said that's not appropriate for China to have that big of a trade deficit with somebody. You're just giving them money to invest in their own country.
Do you know what a trade deficit is? Can you explain?
I understand what a trade deficit is. All right, don't go down this road, because Warren Buffett.
No, I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. I'm honestly, because like there's been a misconception. So I just, maybe if you can explain, maybe I understand it the wrong way. So what was the trade deficit with China?
It approached $1 trillion every year. That means they sell us $1 trillion worth of more stuff than we buy from them.
Okay, and why would they be buying more stuff from us than we are selling to them?
No,
I'm sorry. Why would they be selling more stuff to us than and vice versa?
Because they stole all of our manufacturing over the past 20, 30 years, because Bill Clinton allowed them to get into the WTO, and they have taken advantage and they have cheated their way. They don't play by the rules. That's the thing.
So when you say China stole the manufacturing, you're saying they came to America and took
WTO, and they don't play by the rules. That's the
stole the manufacturing. You're saying they came to America and took
they don't play by the rules. That's the
and stole the manufacturing. You're saying they came to America and took our manufacturing, or you?
Yeah, they've stolen. There's plenty of cases where they've stolen billions and billions of dollars of IP theft and all of our software secrets, and have taken it and they use child labor and low wages to undercut our markets and completely.
Wait, you think our markets are
Well, they don't
suffering
use child
because
labor.
yeah,
They don't use
yeah,
child
right.
labor, but it's first of all, and like second of all, why doesn't the American manufacturers make those products more affordable?
Because we don't have the advantage of being able to pay people $1 an hour. We have minimum wage requirements.
Okay, and do you think that American people respect that and would and yeah, okay, do you think American people respect that?
Respect what?
The fact that we don't pay that we don't pay $1 an hour to our our
Yeah,
employees, right?
yeah, I think that's a good
I
thing.
assume they right. I agree. But but the American consumer wants to pay less for products. It's just a fact. That's just how it has been. American consumers are not willing to spend more money on a product, so they are going to China,
Sure.
right? Make
Yeah.
I
sense?
just hate
Okay,
seeing young
so
conservatives like this Leo guy getting duped by Charlie Kirk. Because I'm a young conservative, and that's why I support you guys taking down Charlie Kirk, because he's dishonest. I mean, guys like Nick Fuentes have taken him down in the past successfully, so I think you should go by at least study what he's done. Completely eviscerated
Jesus.
Charlie Kirk.
But
He's the only
really,
person to successfully walk into a Charlie Kirk event and completely destroy him, make him shiver, sweat, pretty much cry on stage. Yeah, and he didn't even have to walk in. It was
but
just his
just
acolytes.
really quickly about the whole like imports stuff. You're saying like, okay, well, China is stealing IP information, they're stealing like private information. That has nothing to do with imports. You understand that, right? And
You know who else is stealing IP?
well,
Israel.
well, I mean, but
Is your name Diddy Sisson?
it is.
That is my name. Yes, I coined it myself.
I think I've heard of you before. I think you're a legend on this platform.
Yeah, everyone loves talking about me. I got some takes that people, I mean, it's different. It's not the typical Charlie Kirk worship, but yeah, some nuanced takes on here. People get sometimes very angry, but if you're able to listen, we usually get some good conversations.
Interesting. Yeah, so the whole import thing is the reason why we outsource these things to China is because the cost is cheaper of importing them, and then Americans get, like C-Max was saying, Americans get lower prices on things that they don't want to pay for here in the United States because we can't produce them as cheap, because we have ethical standards for labor.
Yes.
And it's better on us to have those imports and to have lower tariffs on those imports. So that way, one, we don't like completely ruin our relationship with China. So that way they don't completely cut off imports for us. And two, that consumers continue to get low prices on things. And they're also importing things that like we really don't make. Like for one, they're not a necessity. So like even if we cut off these imports completely, it's not like our economy wouldn't do super great. But no one here would starve. We don't typically import food from China. We don't typically import like necessary goods. But we do import a lot of electronics. We import a lot of clothing, retail stuff. We import a lot of, I think, like some furniture, I think mechanical appliances, stuff like that. The stuff that Americans don't really want to pay a high ticket price for if they're produced here in the US.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And
Are you saying that you want everything made in America? Is that what you're saying?
no, not at all. I mean, that's just not plausible. But I think it is a good thing to like diversify, like getting things made in India. Or China's not the only place that you can get cheap stuff made.
I think we need to shore our manufacturing for all communication things. We need to learn from this attack that Israel pulled off in Lebanon. No phones, no processing chips, nothing like that should be in adversaries' hands. If Israel can stick a little device in there and either spy on us or blow it up.
Impression? I feel like you'd be good at a Trump impression.
No, I don't do impressions.
Are you sure?
That's definitely not Trump. I can't do Trump. I'll do Ben Shapiro. I can do Matt.
Wait, so this isn't a Harry Sisson impression? I thought this whole time you're like, I totally thought your cadence or your voice, you were impersonating Harry. This is your real voice?
Dude, that was like the worst ever comment I've ever got. I thought you guys liked me.
I thought
I low-key thought this was Seth again. Seth was the Doom guy with the who talked about immigration and like the economy.
Yeah,
He's got some wild beliefs, by the way. I'll just let you know. He's got some scary beliefs. But anyway,
yeah, he kept bucking up with emotion, and Dusty was just like, okay, whatever.
he's a debate bro. He's not crazy if you talk to him, but he does have crazy beliefs. But so the thing, okay, so then what? You're still opposed to like lessening tariffs on China? I mean, it seems like all you want to happen is for us to just diversify our imports.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea. I mean, I really haven't been following the past few days, but I thought I saw something where they had a trade deal done with China.
I'm not sure exactly what you're pointing to, but I think C-Mags was talking about him and his initial stuff to do with like the tariffs on China.
Yeah, no, I saw something. Howard Lutnick and Trump. They said that a trade deal with China got signed like a day or two ago. I don't know. I need to look more into that. But like
I mean, if
2
you're
months.
looking, okay, so I do have a question. So you're worried about China being not an ally, and you don't think that people who aren't our allies should be getting, like, we should be getting imports from them? You made a comment, something like that, and I want to make sure I'm clear on that.
No, I just thought that him standing up to China and trying to fix the trade deficit because of them having $1 trillion trade deficit that has grown, I think stepping up and addressing that issue is a smart thing to do because they are a potential nemesis in the future. They might invade Taiwan. Like, it's like,
But why
a
would,
lot of people think,
okay,
go
so
ahead.
why would we want
China's awesome. We buy all their shit.
Why would we
Israel's the
wanna-
one spying on us.
Oh, hold on. Besides the anti-Semitism, why would we want
Whoa.
make
Pause, back that up.
relations?
How
why
is
would we want-
criticism of Israel
Right,
anti-Semitism?
it was a
Fucking-
joke. It was a joke. It was a
Okay.
joke.
They're
Anyway.
edgy. This is an edgy group. We're pretty edgy here.
Right, you can't criticize. No, you.
It's the most important pressing issue of our time. People are talking about taxes. You guys are trying to take down Charlie Kirk, someone who's responsible for this, this Israel first, this limited hangout stuff that goes on with our top politicians.
So are you like? I think you said earlier something about Nick. Are you like a Nick stan?
I'm an America firster. I think Nick's takes on the Iran war on the button. I think he's absolutely called the 10-7. Anything with the Israel-Iran Middle East conflict, it's the best coverage on the internet. Yeah.
So we're like completely on the opposite side, but we share the same enemy. That is so unique.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, I'm totally against like liberal international policy, like the agenda of like transgenderism, immigration. I'm against all this stuff. But I think Charlie Kirk is way worse because he tricks people like the guy that you're talking to down here. He's good-hearted. He's a good conservative. But he gets tricked into supporting Israel.
I don't even think he's that great.
Well, people like him trick you into supporting Israel wherever you get your information from, whether it's Fox News, Daily Wire.
It's so weird. It's so weird when things go full circle to where I'm like when you go so far extreme on the right that I'm agreeing with you. Like when you go so far, you're like, yeah, I don't like Charlie Kirk because he's putting Israel first, and I'm like, wait, do we agree? Like, that's cool. That's so interesting.
There it is. Fortune theory confirmed, y'all.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk is probably one of the worst ones because he claims to be an American patriot. It's not like a Ben Shapiro guy who's like he loves Israel, right or wrong. Charlie Kirk claims to be like the common MAGA America First patriot, but he's subverting good-hearted Americans to support like genocide and murdering Palestinians for Israel. Like America will never get anything out of that.
Yeah.
It's to our detriment.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's awesome, guys. We're just gonna get 2 more randos up here real quick.
Let's go. So, would you say you accept the Groypers over?
Oh,
girl, hell no.
There it is.
I don't even know what a grouper is.
A groper is like a Nick Fuentes stan.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, hell no! Watching him,
voice.
The
inflections that they do, they like mimic Nick Fuentes.
I thought he was trying to mimic Harry Sisson for a second. I was like, I mean, it's not the best impression, but it's okay. Sorry, Leo? I'm sorry, you just don't know.
Yeah, they're like super. I mean, I made the joke about him being. I don't even know if I can say that word.
If you want to talk.
Anti-sem. Yeah. Anyways, I made that joke about that, and I feel like Loki probably is if he's a groper because those people are really like Ooh.
It's the inflections in his voice. Like he was literally doing the Nick Fuentes exaggerations. So yeah, I was like listening. I was like, yeah, I know this guy. I don't know him, but like, yeah, I know.
Well, I know Lucario, and I've asked him what he's here to talk about, and he hasn't been specific. So I don't think we should let him up until he's specific about what talking thing he wants to go over.
You got to be specific, man.
And
you can request up even if you're not MAGA. If you have any questions about the tour, if you have any questions about anything, we're at the end, so I'll fly by the answer really quick, and then
about how problematic Mercedes is, or
yeah, I mean,
right, abortion or veganism. Well, we're not talking about abortion or veganism. We're talking about like policy.
Veganism. He wants to debate veganism, buddy. You don't want to bring that up here because then I'm gonna side with you, and then Anne's gonna, beat me up later. Be like,
well, the thing is the veganism thing. I mean, I've known Lucario for years. He's ethically a vegan. Like he believes in vegan values. So I don't know why we're doing this whole like contrarian thing.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I have a really wild take actually, as someone who's like hunted my whole life and fished. And it's like pro planet, and it's also like, but it's like really out there. So I don't know if you'll agree. It's basically no one should be allowed to eat meat unless they either farm it themselves, raise it themselves, or hunt it themselves, or fish it themselves.
I'd be more open to that than the factory farms because I think factory farms are god awful.
Yeah, and I'm tired of I am so tired of someone who's just raised like farming and raising animals and hunting and stuff. Like the one thing that bugs me so much is people who take meat for granted, or like people who don't know where their produce or where their meat comes from. I'm like, Lord, you don't deserve to eat this glorious meat. That's my would that be a far left take? What is that?
Oh, that is not a far left take.
No meat for anyone unless you hunt or fish it yourself. That's the rules. You must
ban it all.
Beef.
Look,
no, wait, okay.
I would starve to unalive. Okay, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'd have to hunt so much.
Guys, I'm letting Lou up here, and I'm going to ask him what his position is. Hi, buddy. What would you like to debate?
Oh, sorry, Loki. I forgot I was still in the requests, but
Okay.
Charlie Kirk. He's a pretty bright guy. I think he's pretty smart. I think his conversations on the topic of abortion, which is pretty popular, and something that I imagine you guys would want to counter. I just feel like his arguments are so fleshed out that I don't think you guys could even give a rebuttal to any of his arguments or motivations that he gives for.
As a guy who debated,
That shit was not rhetorical, by the way.
It's Lucario, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen my debate against him? It never exploded, but it was pretty good. I think I looked pretty good on it.
Oh, you think you looked pretty good?
Yeah, he said some really interesting stuff, dude. He was like, "Do you know the Terry Schiavo case?"
No, what's up?
It's a woman who she went into an irreversible, persistent vegetative state. It was tragic. She was never going to wake back up, right? And we were talking about that, and it's kind of paralleling to abortion, right? And so he starts off. He's like, "Hey, it's super rare, super rare, but people come out of brain unalive all the time. And by brain unalive, we're just talking about these persistent vegetative states. Right? He's like, it's super rare, right? And then literally 5 minutes later, I catch him on a gotcha, right? And he's like,
"Oh wow,
explain to me the difference between unconsciousness and Terry Schiavo because people come out of brain dead all the time, dude."
Wow, that was a really interesting story, Ethan, and I'm really grateful that you felt the need to tell me that from your perspective of how the conversation went, probably out of context too. Yeah.
We might not be on the same side, but you are hilarious.
Do you want to debate policy or I?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Is there still a UFA tour? Yes, there's a UFA tour. We will be going to Tampa the 11th, 12th, and 13th. Going to head Charlie Kirk on at the Student Action Summit. Again, Tampa.
My goat.
You say you want to go?
No, I said my goat.
Oh. I mean, if you want, you could like show up at the bar and go with Destiny.
Ew.
Destiny will be headlining there, and then we will just be going into the event and doing our thing. You can buy tickets. You can donate to the link in my bio or the UFA tour bio or Anne's bio. Ethan, you got it in your bio?
Charlie
I
Kirk.
got a link tree, and my account's still kind of small, so I can't have links in it. But the link tree's there, and it links to it. So yeah.
Wait, have you tried switching to like a business account?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I don't think so. I'm kind of a TikTok boomer.
Do not do it because a lot of business accounts, there's an issue that you'll like if your content actually grows, it'll f up your monetization, and then there's people just getting kicked from the creator program because they had a business account.
Oh shit!
I went down
Okay.
rabbit hole for that, and I was like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna show me how to join the creator? I don't know, make money on TikTok
I'll
thing.
help you with that.
Yeah.
Jody wants to give. Jody, are you a man or a woman? I just don't want to like.
I'm a woman.
Okay, you said you wanted to debate.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Have at it. Sorry, Lou. Women first, ladies first.
All right. So you do not support MAGA?
No.
I do. So what do you want to debate? Because I'm all for it. I love MAGA. I love Trump. I love Charlie Kirk.
Name 3 Trump policies.
What do you?
I'm sorry,
What?
bro. They can never. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that's such like a meme question, but it's so funny because they can't.
Wait, but was that Lou that said that?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, bro. I had to, man.
This man is not MAGA. He's not MAGA. He's like,
Well, I don't. Okay, well, man, you're supposing my gender too. I've never seen you.
girl.
man.
I don't know. These here.
I'm getting low key
Hey,
kind of.
Jody. Why do you like Trump? What is your favorite thing about your man's?
Oh yeah, he's just I just love him.
I mean,
Everything
you're
about
trolling
him,
and it's just not-
everything. He's just the
No,
best.
he's trolling.
I honestly, I think we couldn't have had a better president. I think he was the best president we've ever had.
That's an interesting take. Why is that? Oh, someone said was it his physique? Is that why?
I mean, yeah, kinda.
Okay, this is definitely.
I guess so.
Or you were like 2 seconds away from saying, "Yeah, buddy."
Us Trumpies. I mean, you can't get away from us. We run this country.
I have to follow her. This is great. I love this.
And then she came in and she's like, I want to debate. Can we please start debating now?
Wait, so Jody, do you generally speaking, would you support somebody who like brags about walking into the locker rooms of underage women?
Heck no.
Heck no, yeah, type shit.
Based. I'm glad you're on the right side of.
Although if it's Trump, it's a different story.
Conservative Mama, do you want to come up here? Because Conservative Mama said he didn't do.
Oh man, thank you so much for the rose. Thank you so. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
what are we
And with the ice cream, let's go, man. W met in the chat.
Trump did not walk into an underage locker room.
The claim wasn't that he did in fact do it. The claim was that he said that he could.
Yeah, well, I mean, and
that's who we
and
want
the claim
running
is-
our country.
But he did do it. I mean, there's people alive today who were literally in the changing room who attest to the fact that they're like, yeah, he walked in on us. I was one of those models or pageant ladies, whatever you call them. Do you want to come up, Conservative? Was it Conservative Mama? Was that it?
Yeah, let her in.
Jody,
Come here, Mama.
I'm done.
Okay, can we drop the troll? It's like, can we get some like serious debates? in here?
I'm not trolling on it.
Like people do start like people like actually they usually talk about like when they talk about politics specifically. I feel like a lot of them they kind of talk about like veganism or abortion, but like if I'm speaking from the heart, I'm just like, oh my god, bro, can we talk about the political and economic state of the world right now?
Girl, not that.
Perfect. If you're a MAGA, come on up and let's have a convo. This does 1.1k followers. That's something. Like that looks like not a troll.
Ahmed, girl.
Yo,
Oh man, what's good, bro?
Mario, W and that's all I have to
W,
say. Thank
man.
you so much. You can
Yeah, we
find
don't
me.
know Ann.
We got my biggest fan in here. Stop.
Let me follow you.
got stalkers.
Lucario.
Okay, well I followed you anyways.
He's Scrumba.
You can drop me now. That's all I had to say. Actually, that's all I had to say.
I love
Bro,
you.
don't drop my golden med.
Sorry, drop. Okay.
Girl, Lucario can't even name 3 Trump policies. Like,
I never claimed to be a Trump supporter.
okay, okay, buddy.
Lucario
And
better.
in the words of a very close friend of mine, also a very very close friend of mine, I'm not a Trumpy. I'm never claimed to be one. And so yeah. By the way, Bryce Hall follows me on TikTok.
You better be careful before he pick you up and sweep you on the floor.
Wait, who's doing it though? Because I kind of.
Ethan, do you want to sweep him?
Don't want to.
Okay. Is there any MAGA? Is there any?
Before, like, okay, Voldemort's on the right track. Can we get a W Bryce Hall, my friend? He follows me on 2 accounts, by the way.
So, well, it's always the people who say like, "Oh, I'm not MAGA, I'm not MAGA," and then they want to like get down on all fours and absolutely like, I can't even say that on TikTok. Like they like it's like they're literally taking it every single night, and they're willing.
It sounds like you're just mad Bryce Hall doesn't follow you on 2 accounts, but.
Girl, no, let me not. I can't even.
Hey, Yobo, are you MAGA?
I wouldn't say MAGA, but I did vote for Trump, so I'm willing to talk about him.
Okay, that's fair.
I could open up. It depends what we're talking about because there are a couple. I mean, I guess one thing I still am happy about him being the president for, but I think the Iran thing's a disaster. I think I disagree with tariffs. But I do agree with him shutting down the southern border. And I mean, I have some personal experience with it because I've been down to these other countries where these migrants come up multiple times. So I have that. But yeah, that's basically it, to be honest.
Okay, do you support like the mass deportations that are going on without due process?
Yeah, so the ones where like people got in an airplane and like 200 people got deported to what was it like CCOT or something like that. I did look into that, and yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't defend that. But what I'm specifically for is stopping the flow of migrants entering the country, not the deportations, and which it hasn't even been that effective. I mean, like you guys, I mean, I hear a lot of liberals bringing this up, and it's actually a good point that, well, not really with Biden because he let a bunch of people in. So saying, oh, Biden deported more people is kind of cheap because it's like the net amount of immigrants in the country went up, but Obama deported more people. So Trump wasn't even the best at deporting, but he at least shut the border down, which was a promise that he did keep, which I was pleased about.
Okay, so well, it seems like you're in support of Obama doing it, but it seems like Obama's policies as far as the border were a lot more humanitarian, and I think he'd probably be in support of
Did I
that.
play devil's advocate in his second administration? Yes. In his first administration, absolutely not. And he got sued by the ACLU for it. And I think only 51% of his deportees were criminals, while the rest were just like hardworking people.
Well, the thing is,
it jumped up to 91% of his deportees were criminals in his second term, but his first term was absolutely, I'd say, a mirror of human rights violations.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I disagree with that, and I think, like, this Yobo guy probably disagrees with that as well. Like, if we're deporting people or stopping them from coming into the country, we should probably do it in a humanitarian way.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's what, during his second term, he fixed that in his second term, and I appreciate that.
Wait. So you're saying you do appreciate that, or you're saying that about Obama?
His first term, it was filled with like human rights violations on these migrants. There was plenty of people. I honestly, to be honest, I don't think there's a single president in which every single migrant got due process. I don't even think that's a thing. So I don't know why we use that as a thing, but I don't actually think that's a thing. Because like to give every single one a court date, it would be
it's unrealistic when you're dealing with numbers.
Yeah, no, I mean the amount of people that we deport through all of these administrations. Like if Obama did 3 million, right? Like it's impossible for him to have done that with every single person getting due process.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you and I will probably agree on a lot, but I just think
I'm actually confused because I thought this was going to be like a hostile, super liberal panel.
I mean, I'm moderate, but
Yeah, that's okay. As I was expecting to.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. When you're dealing with numbers at that scale, you can't deal with every case with nuance if you actually expect to fix the problem. And it's a shame, and people are going to be up in arms about it. But it's also just kind of unavoidable. Am I against it happening? Yeah, sure, but is it worth the? Is it worth getting these people the hell out of here? I agree, and well, that's what I think. And as far as them being violent criminals, I always find it kind of funny when people make this point that, well, only deport the criminals, only deport the criminals. But it's like, what are you suggesting exactly when you say that? Not you, but people who say that we
Yeah.
should just open the border, let people in, and then only deport the ones who commit crimes when we're here. That's basically saying we shouldn't have a border.
Yeah, I think
That's
that,
it's,
I think this is my solution to it, and I wonder if you share the same solution. I think the border should be locked down, and I think that we should carry out our deportations, but our deportations should, if we have a lockdown border, then we should be gearing our deportations to, of course, criminals. Obama made that happen in his second term. 91% of his deportees were focused on criminals. He did what, like 1.5 million in his second term of deportations. So I think it's possible to do that. But I do agree, in conjunction with that, we do have to shut down the border, because then we're basically plugging in one hole of our boat and then poking a hole in the boat at the same time. So
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But the solution, I think the overarching solution would be to make the process quicker. We don't have enough judges. We don't have enough people processing the paperwork and the court dates for these migrants. So, I met a undocumented migrant the other day who is a MAGA supporter, and she has been here for 20 years, the whole entire time working on her paperwork, still doesn't have it, and every day she makes a post begging Donald Trump to give her citizenship. But she's been actively working on her citizenship this whole entire time, and people like her are getting deported, and that's my problem. It's like we have people getting arrested who are showing up to their court dates or who are showing up to immigration offices. That's my problem. When we have people,
the thing is, she's actively trying to get her citizenship,
well,
but
that's
if
the
she's
problem.
here illegally, then
A lot of people here who are here are actively either A, trying to get citizenship, B, and then getting deported regardless, or B, they came here under Joe Biden and they were seeking asylum, or they came over here in what we would call the legal way, if you will, and then executive order on day one. Donald Trump shuts down CBP app. He's like, CBP One app. He's like, no more asylum seekers. And now we have a subset of people over here who they came over here legally and now they're considered here not legally. And then it's like, well, what do we do? Now they're getting deported, even though they came here.
I don't think it was ever illegal, though. I think Biden was just letting it happen. I think he was just ignoring the law because it was Title 8, Code 1325 is the law, and it didn't get changed under Biden or anything. They just stopped enforcing it and made it extremely easy for them to come up here.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is technically, I wouldn't say it's so. So if a migrant is told, "Hey, you can come up here through the CBP One app seeking asylum," obviously, I agree with hiring more judges to make that process faster, so they don't just sit here for 7 years without even seeing, any judge. At the same time, I would say that it's unfair for us as a country, him as the sitting president, to establish law in which, yes, you can come over, or establish just on not enforcing the law in your terms, them come over, and then all of a sudden we switch up on them, and we're like,
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I do think that seeking asylum it's kind of a vague term, the way people use it, and it's supposed to mean like political persecution. For example, like what the South African farmers are experiencing, like actual, people of the government is coming after them. But a lot of these people, their asylum claims fall flat on their face. I'll explain why. Because most of the people coming through here, unless you're coming like directly from Mexico or something,
like
um,
90% get kicked out.
well, here's the thing.
I think even more.
You need to go through other countries first. So most people come through Ecuador because it has very easy entry requirements. I think it's one of the only countries in South America that like doesn't require you to like have visas. Like you show your passport and get through. So people come through Ecuador and they track up Colombia, Panama, Guatemala, all those countries until they reach Mexico and get up here. But by the time you've crossed into Ecuador and Colombia and Panama, all these places, your asylum claim goes out the window. Because who's to say that you need to come all the way up to America to claim asylum? You were safe when you fled your first country, but you need to come all the way to America. You need to.
But I think we would both agree. I think we would both agree that you and I would both agree that the majority of people who are claiming asylum aren't actually claiming asylum. Like I think the rate is like 90-something%. If someone could get it in the chat, 90% of asylum seekers get removed. Like they're told, hey, you're not actually seeking asylum.
Well,
Like,
it also bogs down the asylum process for people who are genuinely seeking asylum, like legitimately, because now you got all these people who are just taking advantage of the system, saying, "Oh, I'm seeking asylum," when in reality, no, you're not actually fleeing persecution.
the
It's
solution
a
for that is, I think, to hire. So, like, we don't have near enough people working the border. We don't have near enough judges. We don't have near enough officers, agents, people who are making the process go faster. It's not happening. That's why 7 years. Some of these people will come over here and not see a judge for 7+ years. Like, before they even, they're just coming over here. They're staying here, and nothing's happening for the case. And that is why I think we need to hire more people, and that's what the Langford bill tried to do. And then Donald Trump called up and said, "No, I don't like this bill because he wants to run on immigration," and it was, being set under Joe Biden. And how dare we let Joe Biden have a win on the border? But it got shot down. So my only thing with Donald Trump is, when it comes to legislation, executive orders are band-aids. They're not solutions. There's no legislation being introduced. I think Langford was like one of the only pieces of legislation. Like, the last one was in the 90s. And up until that point, there's been nothing to substantially fix this crisis. And executive orders that are passed under Trump just don't do that. They just get, the next president comes in and they're just what? The EOs aren't doing anything. We need actually.
Ask you about a 30, it looks like 35-ish% approval rate. And that was in October of 2024. So a little bit while ago. I'm sure it's gone down since the Trump administration took office. Yeah, it's about 35%. It reached a peak, I think, of like 50-ish%.
And I think it just depends on the time period too, of like what is happening in the world.
Yeah, like obviously, like, okay, we saw a spike during COVID of people trying to seek asylum, just because it was safer here. But obviously, like, okay, presumably why people are coming here from Mexico. It's not just for better job opportunities. A lot of the time, it is for persecution reason, and political persecution is kind of vague in the sense that, well, look, if you have cartels, because look, this is the talking point from conservatives. They're always like, well, these cartel members are just coming into our country and ruining everything and causing a fentanyl crisis and all. I don't know if I can say that word. Sorry, causing a
TikTok and the shop and
right,
chocolate bar.
But their whole complaint is like, well, they're criminals and they have like a huge smug problem and they're causing that smug crisis in the United States and all of this and that. So if you recognize that there is social persecution and that their government isn't doing enough about it, then they are seeking they are seeking asylum from political persecution. Imagine we had something going on here in the United States where there was like a mass cartel issue and the government just literally sat back and did nothing to protect our people. Obviously, there is some sort of political persecution going on there in the fact that the government is literally letting its people suffer. Like, I think the government taking a step back and standing back and being like, we're not going to do anything about this is political persecution. They're letting their people suffer. And they know what.
Can we just, because I got a phone call. Did you say something along the lines of, what if we were being persecuted and we needed to go to another country and they didn't let us in?
No. My point was being that, okay, so the conservative issue a lot of the time is that people coming across the border are smug cartels and they're.
Yeah, I heard that part.
Right. So I'm saying I would consider that a form of political persecution because of the fact that their government sees that happening. They know that it's happening. A lot of the times they're involved in those cartels and they're letting their people suffer.
Yeah, but that's a little silly though, right? Because you're basically saying, well, they're involved in the cartels. That's say you should let cartel members out into the country. That's just not good for the well-being of your country. It's like, at the end of the day, are you going to sacrifice some safety to do something humanitarian for somebody who isn't even a citizen of your country?
Wait.
It's a philosophical question.
Hold on. I think you're missing the entire point. So my entire point is that you were saying, well, these people aren't really seeking asylum. That's like shaky ground that they're seeking asylum on. When we already have like a 35% approval rate at the moment, or well, October of 2024, it's probably gone down since then. But I'm saying if you have people who are in a country where there is a rampant cartel problem and their government is involved in that, I would consider that political persecution, especially if the government is not only involved, but they're not doing anything to help their citizens.
I guess we could look up the definition of persecution. I'm not going to pretend that I know it off the top of my head, but I don't know if that would necessarily fall under the definition. We can look it up though. I'm willing to be proven wrong. Look it up.
I mean, if I find you in a basement, like, and someone's literally torturing you, and I
Yeah, yeah,
do,
but that's not like the average Mexican citizen though. Like,
no,
yeah,
I'm
there are
not saying it's the
some,
average Mexican citizen. We're
or
talking
the
about the
average
literal
asylum
people.
seeker, or the average asylum seeker.
Well, I think that if a country is rampant with these types of problems, like conservatives always claim that Mexico has, then I think that it is a valid reason for people to want to come over here who
I
aren't
mean,
criminals.
I've been to Mexico like probably like 7 times at this point. You go to a big city and it's pretty normal. It gets yeah, it does get dangerous between cities because that's like where the cartel is and like yeah, it is a bit sketchy. And I'm sure that does apply to some of them, but it's not like some third world. I trust me, I've been to third world countries. Like it's not a
I have as
Mauritania, for
well.
example. Yeah, and it's not. I mean, there's plenty of great places in Mexico, and yeah, they are corrupt, but there's a lot of corrupt places. You can't
I
just,
think,
there's horrible things happening everywhere.
guys, I think the argument lies in the fact that whether or not someone's seeking asylum or they say they're going to seek asylum or whatever, the burden of us as a country is to ensure to get that vetted fast. And the problem is it's not being vetted fast. So we can argue whether they deserve asylum, whether they don't deserve asylum. We're never going to know unless we have a process in place that gets that is done as fast as possible. So it's like I really don't give a damn. Like, okay, if they're coming here and they're not actually seeking asylum, if they are seeking asylum, that's up for the courts to decide. The issue that we're facing is there's not enough courts or people in courts to get that figured out as fast as possible. So what happens is these two people come over here through an app. They don't even see a court date for many years. I mean, they're living in this country without any, like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, not doing it. Like, we don't know if to kind of play devil's advocate on your side. We have people coming to this country for a couple years without knowing what they're doing because we don't have a process that's getting them, approved fast enough or denied fast enough. And I think that's where the issue is. We need to hire more people to make this process more efficient so that we can deny claims faster or approve claims faster. Instead of having a bunch of people over here living and we don't even know, is it a criminal? Is it someone genuinely seeking asylum? What are their, who knows?
So if that happened, do you suspect that, that would solve the crisis because more people would be incentivized to come in through legal means anyway, and then therefore we wouldn't have this huge crisis at the border?
I think it would help solve the crisis. And I think that a lot of people, for example, if you were coming over here for nefarious reasons and nefarious, I don't know, sorry, correct my English, but if you were coming over here and it wasn't for good intent, you weren't actually seeking asylum. For example, like if I wanted to live in Thailand and I knew that I could go over to Thailand, just get in an app, go over to Thailand and seek asylum there for 7+ years and be unbothered, would I more likely be, incentivized to do that? Or pretend the country said, okay, we're going to get you processed within 6 months, or we're going to get you processed within a year, and I was not actually seeking asylum, I'm less likely to even try to seek asylum if I know that I'm just going to get kicked out of the country within a year. So the faster we make the process go, I think the less likely people who are trying to come here without actually seeking asylum are going to do that.
Would you be in support of like allowing people in, but like before they got their documentation, just for like the sake of like seeking asylum, like while they're in the country? Would you be in support of like letting the borders down, like for them specifically, and giving them time to seek documentation, or would you like withhold their entry until they already have their documentation?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think they need to be over here. I don't. If they're seeking asylum and genuinely seeking asylum, and they're not over here, and they have to stay in their country that they're running away from,
Yeah.
that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't you think that shutting down the border increases incentive for people to want to come legally because now they know that ICE is actually going to do something about it and the border is actually closed and border security's tougher now?
I believe in border security. I'm just saying two things can be true at once. We can.
No. Yeah, you're saying also we should make it. Here's the thing, though, and you did say approve and deny, so I'm not going to straw man you and put words in your mouth and act like you were just saying, let's make it super easy for everyone to come. But I do think that that's kind of an argument that people go down. Like I've heard like Dean Withers make this argument where he's like, "Well, you know what we should do? We just give them all amnesty, and then they're not illegals anymore." It's like, yeah, dude, but that actually kind of misses the whole point. It's like you could just say they're legal now, but that doesn't actually solve anything. The whole point is that we're actually enforcing our law. But I know you're not saying that.
Yeah, well, no, the reason why a lot of people make that claim, and I think that like what the claim is if we lock down the border, simultaneously pass legislation that makes the process faster so that we can handle the influx of people without just a bunch of people living here and we don't even know what's going on top of the fact of granting amnesty to the ones here who aren't criminals, it would cost a lot less than actually deporting them and telling them to come back. And then so we spent money on the deportation, and then we spent money on re-vetting them to get into this country. And I think like that's the position.
Well, it's this philosophical thing again because it has to do with two things. One, like how much do you care about like the principle of just enforcing the laws that are on the books, and two, how much do you care about the demographic makeup of the country? I mean, how much do you care about divided allegiances and people who weren't born here and your America not feeling like America? Now, it's very hard to make that point without people accusing you of being a bigot. Okay, for example, I'm talking about cultural, some sort of cultural homogeny, similar to what Japan has, or what India has, or what China has, or what a lot of countries have. But I feel like I mean, this is kind of getting to a deeper point, but I feel like the West gets judged unfairly. It's like if people in the United States feel the same way, you get labeled a bigot, or you say that you're white supremacist or something like that. But I mean, that's a factor that matters too. I mean, that's why all nations have borders to begin with.
Yeah, I believe in it. The thing is, I believe in a strong border. I think what the biggest issues that we're seeing right now is like specifically in America, we have a lot of migrants who have been here for 20 plus years or who were taken here as a child. Their parent brought them over the border when they were 3-4 years old, and they are at risk of deportation. The issue that we're having when people talk about wanting to grant mass amnesty for people who aren't criminals comes over to the fact of like there's a problem here that has persisted in this country for so long now without any solutions, without any legislative solutions, where we have people who are pretty much American citizens. They've been here since they were 3, 4, 5 years old. They've been fighting for citizenship for the past 20 years. Like actively, we have paper trails on these people actively fighting for citizenship. The process is so fucked up that are we really going to deport that person? Like, because
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, I've had my thoughts on that too, and I've honestly gone back and forth on it. And it's hard because someone has been living here since because I'm not evil, all right. Like I have a heart, and if someone's been living here since they were 2 years old and it wasn't even their choice to come,
yes,
I do think that obviously it's different than someone who is intentionally breaking the law. Um, it's like getting into a car crash with a 2 year old infant in the car seat and like putting the 2 year old in jail because he just happened to be in the car. It's like it's sort of it is immoral. So
that's the
I think that is a good. Yeah, I wouldn't even necessarily. I'm kind of on the fence about that though because I've heard both sides and I've kind of been.
Wait, but I want
I
to
don't know.
make this clear what his argument just was. Like, not like before you responded, Mercedes, was that we should value cultural hegemony.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not unheard of. It's done in plenty of countries, and I was making the point that I think that the West gets judged unfairly for that, especially in a situation where we're literally being invaded, and it's like, can we stop? And people say, "Oh, we need to have all these people come up here." Well, and I'll bring up the point in addition to everything else I brought up, like following like the principle of the law is that the demographic makeup of your country, are you going to say that that just doesn't matter at all? That you
Right,
could
but
just have.
I'm asking, what demographics are you wanting to preserve?
I don't think he's wanting to
I think English speaking. How about just like educated? I don't want a bunch of people coming up here who are like, who I don't want a bunch of people coming here from like third world countries. I don't want the signs to be in Arabic. I want it to feel like America. I mean, is that really something that is that crazy? And by the way, all the other countries I mentioned before, they want the same things for themselves. That's the whole point of
Yeah,
borders.
what about okay, so these other hegemonic countries, these other like culturally and linguistically hegemonic countries are doing well. The ones that you listed are places in Europe. What about China? What about
I said
North
Japan.
Korea?
I said Japan.
Okay, and I'm telling you ones that aren't doing super great.
Oh shit, I gotta go. But
Wait,
also,
there's
to
a whole
respond,
invasion happening in Europe right
I'm
now.
not MAGA. I am super pro life though. But also WIN, I am an fan. Jesus.
Bro, I'd like to talk. Luke Harrio is he, so is he? He's not MAGA, but he's pro life. Was he serious on that?
Yeah, he is very pro-life.
Dude, I would love to talk to him. I would love to talk to him.
It's fine. I've dunked on him enough times.
No, not even like that. Not even so. For other reasons. For other reasons.
Oh, okay.
We might be. We might be a little. We might. He's not MAGA and he's pro life.
Yeah, no. He's pretty left leaning, actually. Like generally speaking.
That is so cool. I mean,
know.
Is he like?
Cool.
Is he like
Come on now.
Is he an abolitionist or is he like? Does he have a cutoff?
I don't think he has a legal thing. If that's what you're asking.
Or like exceptions? Does he have exceptions? Hey, Lucario, are you an abolitionist or do you have any exceptions? Do you have any exceptions?
Oh, I think he has exceptions for like life of the mother, like that type of thing. I don't think he has any like grape exceptions, but
is he religious at all?
No.
You have exceptions? I'd love to talk. That's cool.
But yeah, look, so you're giving examples of culture or like countries that are culturally hegemonic and they're doing super great. And I'm giving you counter examples of places like North Korea and China that aren't doing super great. And you have places in the Middle East that are culturally hegemonic and they're not doing super great.
I guess my point is when you have a bunch of people coming up here from all different lands and nations that have nothing in common with each other, what you end up with isn't really a nation. It's more of just like a bunch of different nations within a nation. And then the whole fabric of society just gets fractured and there's
What
less
makes
and
a
less
nation?
unity.
What makes a nation? Well, I don't even think that it gets more fractured. We can see, looking at like higher education, people that go into higher education, like we educated immigrants when they came over the border. People that go into higher immigration from different demographics actually do better. So, like, higher education thrives when we have cultural diversity.
Are you saying that like when educated immigrants come over, you're saying that immigrants that come over and get educated, which one?
Immigrants disproportionately make up the majority of our millionaires and billionaires. Like when we talk about what immigrants do, I forget the exact percentages. I can look it up really quick, but immigrants are ridiculously more likely to start a business in this country and become a millionaire.
Okay, well, I mean, then what I'm saying wouldn't apply to those people. I'm fine with like successful people coming up here, working at a tech
Okay,
company or
so then
something.
it's not. Then it's not cultural hegemony. Then.
Well, I mean, okay, I
I
mentioned
get
two things before.
Like I
Wait,
get
sorry,
what
you can go.
I get what you're saying because I like if you're talking about like what's going on in Germany or some of these other European countries, I'm on board with you there. Like I think that there's a genuine issue going on. Like you and I probably agree on that. And I
I
do.
was just there actually. I just
Yeah.
filmed the whole. Well, I maybe I shouldn't talk about that, but I literally went from Africa to France to oh sorry, Africa to Spain to France to the UK. I saw it all with my own eyes, and it is crazy. Like you go outside the Eiffel Tower, and it's all just African street vendors who will jump you, who are hostile. If you put a camera in in these people's faces, they will attack you.
Okay, you
For
have a
example,
problem.
it's like.
But you have a problem. Okay, I'm giving you like, look, here's examples where cultural diversity absolutely helps us thrive. Mercedes gave you an example of where cultural diversity absolutely helps us
She
thrive.
said that they
You
earn
look
more
at countries
money.
like you look at right exactly. So, but they're coming from
create a
different
wealth for our
backgrounds.
economy because they make a lot of businesses start. I mean, they just come over here and create a lot of businesses. I'm gonna look at the statistic because it's something literally ridiculous. Immigrants are just like ridiculously more likely to become millionaires. And I actually learned this because I was in real estate investing for a minute, and yeah, that's where I learned.
It's not really. It's kind of not really the point I'm trying to make.
No, I know
Because
what you're
what the
saying.
point I'm trying to make is when you have a country filled with only foreigners, or with a large amount of foreigners, and you become the minority in your own country, and like imagine you're walking around instead of it feeling
We're a
like America.
minority.
Well, I mean, we're becoming I mean, at least like Europeans, they're becoming the minority. My point is, imagine you're walking around and the signs aren't in English. Everyone speaks a different language. It's like it's not even really a country anymore.
Well,
It's
and I
like there's
get
nothing that makes America America
What the
anymore. It's
fuck
just
does
become
that
a.
even mean? It's not a country. What do you mean
I
by
get
that?
what
I
he's
mean, there's
saying.
no underlying unity anymore. Everything's just been disintegrated. There's nothing that
Of
makes
course there's
America unique.
unity.
It's just filled with a bunch of different countries, and that does
You're
matter.
literally an immigrant.
You're
Your
acting like
your
I'm the
family,
first
your
person to ever
ancestors are
say this.
literally immigrants.
No, I mean, I get. So I low key get what.
Yeah, I grant that you're not the first person to ever like say something low key bigoted. Like I
There we
agree.
go. There's the ad hominem personal attack.
Because it is. It's not an ad
Hold
hominem.
on,
It's
hold on,
attacking
guys. Hold up. I low key
but
like.
it's not attacking
Yo,
him as a person. It's attacking the idea.
I understand what you're saying because I've seen the statistics of what's going on in Europe. Like, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I honestly agree with you. Now, for me, like, my idea behind it would be, I think with America specifically, I mean, obviously we're a country who is founded off of immigrants from all over the world, but I get what you're saying about wanting to make sure that when you say that there's an unfair pressure, for example, Thailand gets to rep Thailand and Japan gets to rep Japan, and then we have people within our country getting very, very upset that they're screaming open borders, yet no country has open borders. And
Yeah, and they're literally waving Mexican flags. Not to interrupt you, but they're literally waving
hold
foreign flags.
on, and you'll get called names because I've been called names for not wanting open borders and bringing up the same point. People call me a bigot all the time because they're like, Mercedes, you want a closed down border with like better judges and faster processes for these people, but a closed down border. And I agree. I think it's very unfair that anyone would say that you're a bigot for wanting your border to be secure, but every other country has a secure border and doesn't.
Yeah, exactly,
But it's not
exactly.
about wait. The problem isn't the problem isn't the strong borders. Even though I disagree with strong borders, I think that like we should totally take a
Just
different
open them
approach.
up.
My problem, well, that's not my problem right now. My problem is you saying that the reason you want open or you want closed borders and
It's
really
one of
strong
many
borders
reasons. There are also
because
nefarious
hold on,
actors. It's not the only reason.
and I'm taking an issue with this reason right now. I'm taking an
Okay.
issue with you saying that you want cultural
I
hegemony
just want to make
when
that
the
clear.
United States was built off of immigrants. It was built off of cultural diversity. So
Yeah, well, it's like
this
90% European. It was not the same.
this
People had way more in common back then. It wasn't it wasn't people from the Middle East and China, who was our global enemy
When
coming
you
up
say
here, and people from Africa. It's a lot different now. It is not the same at all. It's not a bunch of people from a similar place coming here learning English. It's people waving Mexican flags while they're begging to not get deported. It's a completely different story.
when you
okay,
say
what is the problem? There's
how far back
first of all, there's no problem. First of all, there's no problem with them waving a Mexican
Wait,
flag.
wait,
I don't know
wait,
what
wait. So
your
wait,
issue
wait.
with that
So
is.
someone, okay, so someone
States?
comes here
Do you have a problem
legally,
with states?
and they're
Do you have a
begging
problem
not to
with
leave,
states?
and they're not,
Wait,
and
wait,
they're
wait.
saying that they're gonna
Hold on,
wave.
I have
What
a
does that
question.
mean, waving the Mexican
I have a
flag?
question. I have a question. Do you have a problem with states flying their own flags?
I'm not saying that they shouldn't be able to do it like legally. I'm saying like think about what
No,
that
I'm
means. These
asking
people
you
are
that.
not patriotic to the
Do you
country.
think that's
They have
causing? Do
divided
you think
allegiances
that's
if they're allegiant to
causing
America at all.
division? Do you think that's causing division to wave their state flag?
Do I think it's causing that? I think it's symbolic of the fact that they probably have contempt for the country that they're in. And then I would say, well, how come you're here then? How come
You
you don't
think
want to be
them flying
deported
a
so bad?
state flag? This is ridiculous. You
It's
think them flying a
ridiculous.
state flag? And
Yo, but what if someone flies a German flag? Do you feel the same?
No, but do you get the context of that? They're getting deported, let's just say to Mexico, and they're begging to stay here while waving the flag of the country they don't want to go back to, and you
that's
don't
not the
understand
problem.
how that's like a little
We're not
weird?
talking about. We're
Yobo,
not talking about your
Yobo.
perceived.
I mean, if it was my preference, like I get what you're saying. I
I'm
believe
saying it should be legal.
if you want to stay in this country, I think that the optics would look much better if when you went to protest that you were hanging the American flag. I do agree with you there.
But we're not even talking about this is the problem. This is just a pivot. We're not talking about the optics of a protest right now. We're talking about him calling somebody waving a Mexican flag some sort of like anti-cultural hegemony, which is causing problems in the United States.
One of
But you
many.
don't have a problem with somebody. You don't have a problem with somebody waving a German flag, even though Germany is very different than the United States. You don't have a
Well,
problem with
no, but that's unrealistic. Okay, yeah, if people were coming here from Germany and they didn't want to get deported back to Germany, they're waving a German, yeah, then yeah, but that's not what's going. What? That's
Wait,
not
but
what's
the
happening.
problem there isn't cultural hegemony. That's not the problem then. Your problem
What
is
do you
with them
mean?
having
What do
some
you mean? No, wait, wait,
contradiction.
wait. So now you're pivoting because now you're taking just the flag example and going off of it. I said that before there was a bunch of people coming from a bunch of different countries, and then I mentioned Mexico at the end of it.
You're completely missing the point. This is the problem. You're actually like completely missing the point, and I don't know how to make you like stay on track with the point. The point is that you said I have a problem with the United States being a mixing pot. I don't want anything other than cultural hegemony. I want it because I think anything other than cultural hegemony causes problems. I think cultural diversity causes problems.
Yes.
then you said, well, there's Mexican people flying Mexican flags and they don't want to get deported. That's not the
After I was
issue.
talking about people
Not
coming
the
from the Middle
issue.
East and all
That's
those
not
other
the
places.
issue. That's not the issue. The issue is cultural diversity.
No.
Them having a contradiction with waving a flag and then not wanting to be deported isn't about cultural hegemony.
Okay, so I brought that up as a little zinger at the end. What's the big deal?
Okay, so it was totally unrelated, and you're
It
admitting
wasn't
that
totally it isn't totally unrelated. I mean, I was talking about cultural homogeny. How I'm not a believer that diversity is our strength. I think that diversity in its own nature causes division. Diversity. People are different. Obviously, that's gonna cause issues. And
No, it obviously
I could
doesn't.
recognize. Okay, well, we could disagree on
I don't
that,
think
but that was my claim. And then yeah, I brought up the Mexican flag stuff because it highlights what I'm talking about. So no, it of course it had something to do with what I'm saying. What are you saying?
I don't think that I don't think it's cultural diversity as much as it is in like, and maybe these are one and the same things, but like values. For example, like I agree with you. I do understand that this country has been speaking English for quite some time. Like if I want the stop sign to say stop on it.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't want to say some Arabic language.
and we agree with you there, but like I think where it comes down to, for example, if you have someone over here, my mother's from Thailand, my grandma's born in Thailand, both of them migrated over here, and like my mom, she has her culture, like she makes her Thai food, she blah 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 whatever, but she like I guess you could say she's embraced America in the way that like she understands. I don't know how to say this without.
She's assimilated. Assimilated. I think that's the word you're looking for.
If you're asking for a certain amount of assimilation, like where understand that you're coming to America to live here, like you will you have to expect the signs.
Exactly. You know what? That a limited form of that type of immigration is something I'm completely okay with. I'm not saying it should be a white ethno state. That's not what I'm saying at all. I agree that you come here, you're actually able to assimilate, you learn our language, you follow our laws, then yeah, sure. But if you don't care about any of that stuff, then you don't even really have a country anymore. You just have a bunch of people that happen to be living here, but no one really has anything in common. There's nothing. I mean, there's a reason why we have a Pledge of Allegiance. There's a reason why countries rep their flags and why there's something holding them together. And when you have people coming here, it's very naive viewpoint to think that it just doesn't matter at all and to just label anyone who thinks this to be a bigot, because it actually is something that matters. And if you look at through history, it matters too. Look at Rome. They got invaded by German tribes, but they didn't just get invaded; they let them in. It was called the Visigoths, I think. You could look it up, and it was one of the reasons why the empire began to collapse. There was a lot of erosion that happened in
the
society.
issue, because that's just like misinformation.
It's not misinformation. You can look it up.
The issue the issue with the Visigoths is that they came in under false pretenses. Like they came into the United States. They came into Rome intending to literally like backstab them, like that.
Wait.
What?
With the intending to backstab them, that sounds pretty familiar. How about the people who come here how about the people who come here? You don't think there's any sleeper cells in America? You don't think all the fucking the Chinese people who came here? You don't think that there's any nefarious actors or people that maybe we shouldn't have let in? The millions of people.
Because that there might be like a few people among the people that we take in. That means we
among the tens of millions.
I don't think there's like tens of millions of
No,
sleepers.
there is. There was caravans of these people coming every day. I mean, I was there. I literally took the trail with these people.
You were there. You have a source on
Yes, I do.
Hold on. I think obviously there's people who are in this country right now with nefarious. Hopefully, I'm saying that with nefarious intentions, but I don't think it's tens of millions necessarily.
I'm telling you, look, I have experience with this. I could send you. You could all look up the video if you think I'm lying, because I made a whole documentary about this.
I don't know.
One video is not going to prove it.
No, I swear to God, I don't. I have videos. Well, they're not all going to come in one day, but if you just extrapolate a little bit, you see caravans of these people coming up every single day for like 4 years. Thousands of these people coming every day. Yeah, that's going to be like millions and millions of people. And I think the estimate's like somewhere like 10 million, 12 million.
They're coming in here in vans from where? Oh, I don't know.
Caravans.
Like
it's like a giant group.
But from where?
Again, okay. So when I did this at the peak. Actually, went back to
from where?
Colombia.
From where?
No, let me unpack it. The thing is, they're not all
No,
coming
I
from
don't
one
want to
place.
hear. No, man, no,
Stop,
don't.
stop. You
I
gotta let
don't.
me
No,
answer
no,
the
no.
question. You gotta let me
From
answer the
where?
question. Yes, yes, you will. You will let
Like,
me answer the
follow
question.
the
You will
logic.
let me answer
From
the
where?
question. Yes, and I'm actually trying to answer you. I'm not trying to pivot. Just actually let me answer the question. So when I did this 2 years ago, I started in Ecuador. And I brought this up before. The reason why I started in Ecuador is because you can look it up. Ecuador has a very, very easy entry requirements. They don't require like visas for you to stay there. You basically just you show them your passport and you can go. So you go to Ecuador, you go to Quito, and there's literally hotels with like because a lot of these people were Chinese who were coming up here with like Chinese immigrants on their way to America. You got all these NGOs. You got like Red Cross, UNHCR, HIAS. I'm forgetting all of them. There's like maybe like 7 or 8 of them that are all helping them along the way. So the countries that come from, a lot of them are from China. Like a lot of. I was really surprised when I saw that. China. There's some people from like the Middle East. I forgot if it was like Afghanistan or Pakistan. And there was people from Venezuela, and it was kind of a mix. It was kind of mixed, but more Chinese people than you would think. That's the answer. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I did this for like a month.
Okay, so it sounds like you care a lot about the way people look in the country. There's a lot of Chinese people.
If that's really what you took away from what I said, I don't know what to tell you. I was talking about cultural homogeny, how they look.
Hey, dude, why not? Because I think you and I'm probably the most moderate person on this panel here. I think you and I would have a great one-on-one because I think we agree on a lot of shit. So why don't you and I have a conversation? I think the other people on this panel they're probably gonna.
You know, I just want to say this before they leave. I just think it's almost a little sad that like I can't say these things without people reducing my arguments or saying that I'm a bigot.
Me, right?
Huh?
You can to me. I haven't called you a bigot.
No.
I
You
haven't called you a
actually
bigot either.
no, but I mean, I could tell what direction you're going now with it. You just care about the way people look. It's like, dude, did you not listen to anything I
Well, I
said?
didn't know.
'Cause
I didn't say that. I didn't say
that's
that.
very reductionary of what I was saying. I mean, that's not honest.
I'm gonna agree with you on something, and sorry about these fucking hot fry hands here, but I do believe that my side does a lot of name calling and resorts to ad hominems because they get upset really quickly, and instead of engaging with your genuine feelings on an issue, which whether they think your feelings on it are valid or not, I think they need to be engaged with to come up with a solution. So I don't believe in name calling or being like you're a racist bigot because I just don't think it's gonna get us anywhere. And I also don't think like being like you care about people's skin colors. Like I just don't think that's gonna get us anywhere. But that's why I'm here for the more moderate takes. But I'm going to pull up another Trumper that we're going to debate. Well, I wouldn't call you a Trumper. I think you're a moderate, but we'll have a conversation because I think it would be fun. I think we'd agree on a lot, and I think we would come to.
Wait a minute, I just want to respond to some of these comments. Yobo has been around the world. If you believe that, enjoy. I could
leave the
literally
comment
show you
below.
the. No. I could show you guys the YouTube video because I don't want you guys to think I'm just making shit up. Look up
No, it's fine.
NUC.
Honey, the comments
I'm
hate
gonna
me too. Don't worry, they hate me
wait.
too.
Okay,
So
Muckraker is the name of the YouTube channel. You can look up the invade. I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's like the invasion route. Just look up Muckraker invasion on YouTube. It's a whole 40-minute documentary. You'll learn a whole lot about the invasion route. You all look it up. I'm not bullshitting you.
we'll watch it together. I'll live stream it. You can go in there. You can add your commentary.
It's a long. I was gonna hit the gym tonight. Now I'm like, I'm not doing this, but maybe we can. Maybe we can.
I mean, I respect your opinion. Would you say that debating me, for example, is this easier than other liberal debates you've been like? Am I nicer?
No, I do. I'll tell you what. You've. I'm pleasantly surprised by you. You're like probably the most. I wouldn't even call you a liberal, honestly. I think a lot of liberals would hate you.
They do.
You really are pretty much in the. I don't even know if I would say in the middle, honestly. I would say you're more right. I would honestly, because most people on the left absolutely hate me. So just the fact that you're even open to some of the stuff I was saying was. I don't know. I wouldn't call you on the left at that point, to be honest.
Well, let's just say I vote on this side, and I think it's I damage control purposes, and I have my reasons, but I do think my side handles shit like shit, and I think that they turn a lot of people like you off of the conversations because they resort to name calling immediately, and they don't understand like you have a fear because like there's something that is causing this fear or this issue that you have, and instead of engaging with it, they just dismiss it, and then they wonder why no one wants to vote over here. So we're going to move on to the next one, though. Thank you. I followed you so that I could reach out to you so we could have a conversation.
Yeah. Of course.
Bye, buddy.
Oh, I mean, I could stay for a little bit longer. I was talking about a 40-minute video. Unless you wanted to fuck off, then I could leave.
I don't want to say that, but yeah, because I'm just.
All right. I'll fuck off.
You're cool,
Peace.
you're cool. Bye, buddy. Peace. I just try to be like, if they're here, I just know I'm never gonna get them over here by starting over here. I gotta, and then grab them like this, snatch, and then be like, oh, hopefully.
Yeah.
Anyone else wants to come up on this panel who's MAGA, who wants to have a conversation? I like moderates. I really love you moderates. You guys are fun. Especially moderates for Trump. You guys have my heart. I'm going to snatch y'all up. I'm going to change you, okay?
It's really hard discussing with people when like I'm a very, very liberal guy, but like you have to meet people like in the middle somewhere. Otherwise you can't have like any actual conversation. That is true.
Exactly. You can't. And a lot of people, hi, buddy.
How we doing? What do we want to talk about
And
tonight?
I know I'm supposed to have a call with you, man, but shit, I've been slammed with this tour and trying to get everything together.
Trust me, you're all good.
But I still value you, buddy. This guy right here, what are you, a moderate? Are you like right of center?
Trust me, you're all good.
You, buddy. This guy right here, what are you, a moderate? Are you like right of center?
I consider myself a moderate, yeah. I mean, I get more conservative by the day, and then Trump gets elected, and I get to backtrack it a little bit, so I guess I remain a moderate.
Based.
What are some platforms that you feel, I guess, like pretty strongly about conservative-wise?
Conservative-wise, I'm pretty strong on my pro-life stances. Pretty strong on nuclear family values. Pretty strong on borders. I don't want to obviously overload you here.
No, I got you. Something I like talking about. I don't know, Mercedes, if like I'm game to go into like the whole like abortion thing discussion, or I can also talk about the nuclear family thing and like feminism and stuff. Like something.
I mean, you guys can talk about whatever you want. Really quickly, Clown, are you MAGA? Because you said MAGA 100 times.
I am MAGA.
Okay. Perfect.
All right, cool. Between I guess let's talk about the nuclear family. I think that's probably going to be the most straightforward thing. So something I think we're both 100% agreed upon is we need to have not broken homes, obviously, right? And how do you think having not broken homes, right? How do you think we like accomplish that? Is that just the nuclear family?
One way would be to start subsidizing families and not single families. A lot of people talk about subsidizing single motherhood. It happens a lot, but we also subsidize single fatherhood. And I don't think we should be subsidizing singleness. I think we should be subsidizing families, nuclear families, and then save subsidizing single families. For example,
Hey, Versatile, you want to give
tragic cases where somebody passes, things that can't happen, right? But go ahead.
give some advice real quick? So, for example, I am a strong proponent of family values and keeping the family together. When I argue it, I drop the nuclear part because then the people who aren't I try to think of how do I get what I want? How do I get someone to understand my platform and like what I'm wanting to happen? Because I think that this is a good thing. And I would drop the nuclear part because I'm just saying if you want to argue that position, if you drop the nuclear part, people will be like, yeah, oh yeah, families, versus when you debate the left and then you say the word nuclear, they're like, oh my God, what in the white racist shit is this? So just a word of advice when it comes to, what is it, diplomacy?
I mean, I understand, but I mean, I'm talking about keeping nuclear family together, therefore I'm going to use that term.
So what is the nuclear family?
Nuclear family is keeping a mother, a father that had a child, keeping that family together.
Do you
Obviously,
think that existed
for
before?
example, a marriage, for example, raising said child together in one household
Why is it called nuclear?
is a nuclear. Honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I have no clue. I just.
Do you
that's the
think
term.
that do you think that family structure existed before nuclear whatever?
Nuclear what?
Well, I'm guessing if we're calling it the nuclear family, that comes from like nuclear.
And from my understanding, it's a family, a mother, a father who had a baby, and
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I'm just talking about like if we're. This is my biggest
term
problem
nuclear.
with the left, and I'm just gonna try to rack your brain on this too.
I mean, I could change it to family if you wanted. I mean,
The reason
we're talking about the same thing.
I want you to know that no, I'm trying to help you because I agree with the family thing, and I cannot get people to agree with. Well, okay, I do when I use the word family and I talk about family values. I do get a little bit of pushback because I think I say the word family values, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Charlie Kirk reincarnating." I'm like, "No, what the fuck?" But I'm trying to do exactly with you what I do with the left, where I'm like, "Hey, let's not just say things like amnesty for all. These people are going to be like, bro, I'm never going to vote for you. Let's not call everything socialism. Let's call it capitalism with strong social safety nets." I'm trying to me, my whole entire existence is to try to do this. So I'm doing it with you as well. And I'm just saying, if you drop the nuclear part, not because I think we should be sensitive over words, you probably also know my stance on that. I say what the fuck I want, but at the same time, it'll just bring more people to your position faster.
I mean, I understand, but that's not my goal here. I'm just
Your goal isn't to get
and then I'm gonna.
to embrace the nuclear family.
Yes, so if that's my goal, I'm therefore going to use the word nuclear family. I'm not just going
Is your
to
goal not to get?
family. I don't want to stay hung up on this too long.
No,
though,
but
'cause I can say family, I can say nuclear family. I'm going to be honest, it doesn't matter. The
Yeah,
point
I'm
is
just
the
saying,
same.
what you're doing right now is exactly what you complain about what the left does.
No, it's not at all. I'm quite literally using the word nuclear family. You're giving me advice to not use nuclear family, use the word family.
Yeah,
I'm
family
telling
values.
you,
Or
it
strong
doesn't
family.
matter what word I use, the meaning is going to be the same. Can you give me an example of how that's some left-leaning stance?
Okay, so if I were to point to my brown table over here and I said this table is in shit brown, you want to buy it? You're probably going to be say no. But I'm like, it's a really nice oak brown with,
That's not giving me an example of how that's a left-leaning stance. That's just
I'm not saying that you're
nitpicking the
having
way I
a.
described a family.
No, I'm not saying you're taking
I see what's going
left-leaning.
on. So what Mercedes is just doing
Well, I mean,
is
I'll explain it. Like, I'm not saying that you're taking a left-leaning stance. What I'm saying is you're doing exactly what people get mad that the left do. Like, when it comes to the left will say things that I think that could be worded a lot better to get their stance to get their stance across. And I'm just trying to tell you the same thing, like strong family values. I am a big advocate for strong family values. And to get the left to also understand what I'm talking about when I say strong family values, I wouldn't use the word nuclear family. We don't have to get hung up on this much longer. Like, if you don't actually care to get people to care about strong family values, that's fine. I'm just trying to tell you that there's a way to do it that'll actually work. Because I think
I'm just saying it's completely different. Like when I say the word nuclear family, I am more than sure the majority of your audience knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's not. I can say family values. I can say nuclear family. I mean, I don't know. I'm personally not going on tour to try and convince people to vote one way or another. I'm just here to have a conversation.
So when you say nuclear family versus like I would say family values because like I think you can have as a liberal I'm like okay you can have maybe like two men who love each other and maybe they adopt some kids and then that becomes like a family, for example, right? So when you say nuclear family, can you just like elaborate on that because that might
So again, not saying this can't happen, not saying it's outlawed, not saying you can't do it at all. But if we're being honest, gender roles do exist when raising a child. For example, it is you can't really get a motherly love from two men. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get a mother's bond with a child from two men.
So I'm gonna.
I'm not saying again these things can't happen. I'm all for them.
Yeah.
I'm just also explaining the nuclear family stance in itself.
I got you. But I guess another question I'm gonna have to ask you is like, can you provide, like there's going to be a substantial difference in how children are raised by, so like for example, I was raised by, a single mother, right? And I love my life. Could you provide examples or some kind of substance of people who are growing up, like, because when you say nuclear, are you talking about like a man and a woman specifically, for example?
We can talk about a man and a woman. Let's make it easy. Let's talk about two parents and a child. So that can be a woman and a woman, a man and a man, a man and a woman. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
two parents and a child, because again, I can talk about my gender roles or where I stand there, but we can just make it easy.
Yeah, no, totally. Okay, and that with that, I think everyone would agree with you that having two parent households are objectively like going to be better, right? Because it's like you can have someone if someone wants to stay home and take care of the kids, and that's what they want to do, then more power to them. Or you can have two people who may have two sources of income. I think having two people working together is always going to be better. I think everyone would agree with that, which is why I was asking, what do you mean by nuclear? Because I think everyone would agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, then I can dig deep into the gender roles and we can have a conversation there if we can get to some more disagreement there. A great example, when I'm going to ask my wife's father for his hand in marriage, right? I generally get some advice on how to have these conversations from a man, right? Generally. I mean, let's just be completely honest here. I would go to my father, not my mother, on how to have that conversation. Can my mom tell me how to have that conversation in this specific example? Sure. But it is a lot easier to go to a man about how to have a conversation with another man and how to take care of his daughter than it is to go to my mom, who's just going to give me a woman's point of view on how that conversation should be had. A conversation she has never been a part of, So, I mean, maybe she has, who knows, whatever.
So
I think that's beautiful for you, and I think that's that's what I love about America is it's like if that's your view on things and that's how you go about it.
There probably is some sort of merit to what he's saying. Like, it's probably true that if you're raised in a household with two gay men, you're going to get you're going to grow up only knowing the viewpoint and experience that those two gay men had, which is probably very different from straight men, which is probably very different from lesbians, which is probably very different from women in general. So I think there's probably like unique experiences and qualia that each gender / sexuality experiences, which probably lend to like different outcomes and personality for children. I'm not necessarily saying it's good or bad either way, but like generally the biggest things you'd be looking for is more than one parent, and then just like general like not being in poverty for like best like family outcomes.
Yes, absolutely, and that was very well said. So yeah, you can have this split up, two men, and you're going to lack some characteristics in being able to raise the child as a mother, however you guys work that out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But two parents is always better than one. I'll take two parents over one any day.
Mm-hmm.
I just was explaining my views. Obviously, that's not a political stance. I don't think anything should be outlawed regarding two parents. Raising a child, any parents raising a child is a good thing in my opinion.
So it looks like we all pretty much agree there. Cool.
Yeah, I think most people definitely agree with that. I guess the only thing I would challenge on that is assuming that one, having a mother and a father, right? A lot of dads, and I'm using anecdotal experience, but I guarantee you everyone in this chat will know exactly what I'm talking about. Dads don't always give the best advice when it comes to things for being a man, right? Sometimes advice is going to vary so much, right? Like, what does it mean to get good masculine advice? And I would say that a lot of people are failing today, right? In the sense of like men are seeming to be misguided. A lot of men look at some like role models like Andrew Tate, for example, or like
Don't do
red-pilled men, just because someone's manly, right, or masculine doesn't mean they're getting good advice. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think what you're describing as masculine is a fake off-putting of confidence. That's Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate isn't a masculine individual. There's a difference between masculinity and just being very confident in yourself, almost to an ignorant point, right? So again, yeah, masculinity, in my opinion, is someone who can own up to what their wrongdoing, something obviously Andrew Tate isn't doing right now. Somebody who can take accountability, maybe raise a family, maybe take care of somebody else if that's what you choose to do. That's masculinity. Now, when you come off as, oh, I have muscles, I'm this big strong guy, listen to me, that's not masculinity.
That's insecurities.
And to that, I agree with you. I 150% agree with you. But the thing is, though, a lot of people will disagree with you and say, yeah, like that's what you want to be like, right? And the thing I'm just trying to establish is just because
I think there's a breakup here, though. What the people are saying you want to be like, you want to be a very strong man that's going to get up, not complain, and go to work. For example, provide for your family. Does that mean he can't come home and have conversations with his wife about his feelings and cry? No, he can be a real person that's saying you can't just not do something that day because you don't feel like doing it. That's kind of the masculinity standpoint that people see. Now, on the internet, that's very hard to see. So when you're looking at somebody like Andrew Tate who says, oh, I was depressed this morning, I still got up and went to the gym, I did 2 meetings, to an average person that doesn't know anything about Andrew Tate and just saw that video, that looks very masculine.
Yeah. I guess like another counter could be like, I know, did you ever play like sports in high school?
Yes.
So like, did you ever meet, I don't know the background of you or your friends, but did they probably have like 2-parent households?
The majority of us, yes. Some of us did not. I mean, sports is a very diverse world, so some of us didn't, some of us did. Those of us that didn't usually, like, their mom was working 2 jobs, so we took them to practice for, things like that. I spent some time in group homes, so even though I did have a, mother-father kind of thing going on, it wasn't always perfect there either. So,
ultimately, the point that I'm trying to establish is just because you have a man and a woman, raising kids doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be like the best outcome. Like maybe like they may not get as much of a masculine perspective on life, but that's assuming that every man has a good concept of what we would agree with masculinity, right? And that's why I'm saying when we talk about the man and a woman, that's assuming that every man is going to, or at least the majority of men agree on what's masculine. Because like in sports, for example, we can see there's a lot of toxic dudes in sports, right? Like I remember I've got a sibling, and my sibling sometimes would come with these conflictions. I talk to my friends. I'd say, "What do I do with this?" Right? And then they say, "You should like beat him up." And I was like, "Wait, what? No!" And multiple people would say that to me, right? And
I wouldn't correlate that one to sports unless you're just simply talking about the UFC.
No, not that kind.
Just because it's a man and woman doesn't mean the child's going to be okay. I think like we all know that
statistically speaking, in this
no,
world,
no.
everyone was a nuclear family. The outcomes would
hold on, I didn't even get a finish. No, I did not even get a finish. What I'm saying is, I think we all can agree that just because it is a man and a woman, that does not necessarily mean that the child won't ever be subjected to maybe abuse or to like bad parenting or things like that.
Yeah, of course not. That's
all
reality.
That was the only claim.
Well, and that's what I mean. So, but statistically, if you do have a man, a woman, in a healthy relationship, a healthy family, child ends up in a lot better circumstance. Again, just statistically.
You would have to then prove that happens, that having a 2-man or 2-woman household is worse by like, I would argue like some kind of statistic, but I don't.
Yeah, so, and again, not all the time, this isn't every scenario, but you are more likely to have your child end up in foster care.
Who is?
I think it was actually a man and a man. A woman was one of the better
what did the man and the man
outcomes. man and a man was one of the worst, and then man and women were
I think this is actually
the
false.
better
Hold on.
statistical outcomes.
Hold on. Statistics.
Or maybe the men and women.
What
were
are we basing the what is the statistics on? Is it like if they go into foster care? Because I'm going to say like when we talk about statistics on who's going to foster care, I just don't know how a man and a man are producing a child that goes into a foster care.
Well, when you adopt a child and that child ends up in the state's care, that is your child that ended up in foster care.
What I'm saying is, do you think that straight people produce more children that end up in foster care or gay people?
They definitely produce more. You would have to go to a per capita standpoint to find an accurate representation of that statistic.
I know like gay people ridiculously disproportionately adopt more children than straight people do, and
Well,
for
yeah,
obvious reasons. But like
yeah.
statistics on, what do we put like?
But there would be a lot less gay couples than straight couples, more than likely, right? So you would have to do that as a.
It's always got to be per capita. Like that's obvious.
Okay. Well, I'm just. You said who would be more, so I gotta.
I mean, if someone's not doing per capita, then they're just not having an honest conversation. Statistics on children.
Gotta clarify.
Going to foster care, gay versus straight. I just don't.
You can. I mean, again,
I'm just trying to get help on what I should look up to get this statistic. What would I look up? Are gay people more likely to surrender their kids to foster care than straight people?
Yeah, I'm trying to look up like anything that says that that children are doing worse under same sex couples, but I'm not seeing anything to substantiate that.
Are gay people more likely to surrender their kids to foster care than straight people? Straight people per capita.
Yeah, there's no research showing that children raised by are we allowed to say GAY? Can we say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay.
I just would like a statistic because I do not believe that gay people are surrendering. For example, like the foster care system is ridiculous, and to be able to get a child from foster care and then like to go through the process is ridiculous. Like I don't think gay people who are setting themselves up financially and planning for that child are going to be more statistically likely to take that child and then return that child versus straight.
Well, that's not how the foster care system works, Mercedes. You're not just releasing a child into a system. You generally most of the time had to do something to where the.
What I'm asking is if a child, when we're talking about surrenders to foster care system or children being taken away from the foster care system or into the foster care system, I wanted, if you could provide me with a statistic that says straight people are more likely to get their children taken away than gay people, like if that's what your claim you're saying, I'm just asking for a source on that.
Okay, well, when you were surrendering that, you were also looking it up, so
that's why I can't find anything.
Sure,
I'm asking for your source on that.
Gonna have to need more than 5 minutes to go look it up because I get
Exactly. If you don't find that, I'm actually curious. I've just never seen that.
Yeah, me neither. And everything that I'm
seeing.
seeing.
Same-sex couples are more likely to adopt when I'm trying to look that up, so obviously I can't go dig right now unless you want me to take 10 minutes off of your life.
Yeah, you can take 10 minutes and go find a statistic that says gay people are more likely to get their kids taken away than straight people. I think that's what I just don't think that's true, and would be. Yeah.
I'm reading. I mean, this is just the AI overview. I need to look at the actual sources, but it says no. Research indicates that gay parents are not more likely to have their children taken away and placed in foster care compared to heterosexual parents. And I'll look more into that, but I'm seeing absolutely nothing on this, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, because I'm just thinking, because everything that I read said like a child is going to like. I read a statistic somewhere, and I got to pull it up, but something about children being raised in same-sex households are. It didn't say something like more likely to turn out better because it's like, what's the metric of better? But there was something about it that was stating that because LGBT households put so much planning into having that child financially, that the outcomes are better for the kid simply because they can't have accidents. It's impossible.
This is also why I am. I'm not going to go into this, but this is also another big reason why I'm a very pro-choice person. Because when you have these unexpected, accidents, and you're not ready, that creates broken homes.
Well, we can go into that conversation. That's a
No,
completely
first, go find
different
it.
conversation.
I
So,
wouldn't
that's
wanna
what
go
I'm trying to do. You're just obviously talking.
We're just talking to ourselves until you find that source. Hold up, but just go find it.
I'm not going into it. So I'll apologize on that. I'm not trying to, I guess, do something, whatever. Yeah.
They have worse outcomes. They're less likely to graduate high school. I still can't find anything on the foster system. So
Wait, are you talking about LGBT kids or the
no, the kids of LGBTQ parents. Let me go give you your source really quick. Hold on.
In 2015, which recruited samples of children in same-sex unions, show that 79.3% of comparisons were favorable to children with same-sex parents in comparison.
Children with same-sex parents are only about 65% as likely to graduate high school as children with homosexual parents. Do you want me to continue?
Just send me whatever you're looking at.
Yeah.
This is the University of Oxford. And they say study indicates children raised by same-sex parents perform better at school. I don't know.
I've got one from ACLU. All the available evidence demonstrates that orientation has no impact on orientation of the kids, and no more likely to grow up. That's orientation, not that. So that was irrelevant. Place doesn't impact orientation if that's something that someone cares about, which person I don't care about. I'm sure this was well-being. Listen, Chowdy, Chanty. Listen, Chowdy, Chanty.
Cities I just sent you over. There's a compiled of at least 15 studies, a multitude of different countries,
So growing up
giving
with
you basically the same result. There's
but
Canada, there's Switzerland, there's Australia.
Hold on, I guess we can look at America because I guess that's the country that we're basing this off of. I'm looking. Infants, mothers, providing mothers and fathers here. Children.
But anyway, while you guys are reading, I guess I can go into why he is pro-choice, because these children somehow end up in the foster system, I guess.
I'm not looking at that study right now. I don't know what it's called. I don't know if you sent it to me or not, but I'll let Mercedes take a look at it.
No, I know. I'm saying she's taking a look at the study I sent her. I was saying you were saying that you were very pro-choice because children that, in unforeseen circumstances end up in the foster system, right?
I would say that I'm pro-choice for a multitude of reasons, but that's one reason. We don't want to. If we are going to bring children into the world, ideally we're as best prepared for this.
Well, it's a good thing that we only perform 1 million abortions per year, and there's 2 million people on the adoption waiting list. These children that are born into unforeseen circumstances don't end up in group homes in the foster system. They end up in the adoption system and go to a very loving family. Statistically, as we're pointing out here, generally a homosexual family. So definitely very beneficial there. People can't have children, able to have children. So I'm not seeing really where the unforeseen circumstance maybe end up in the foster system warrants termination.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
unforeseen
so,
is
I
being
just
a
wanna-
parent and you're not ready to have a kid yet.
Yeah. So again, that just warrants the termination of a life. Let's say this child does end up in the foster system. I was in the foster system. I lived in about 9 group homes in the state of Georgia. Not once did I come across a child that didn't want to have their life, no matter how bad our circumstances were.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why it's, someone else is right to say that child should be terminated because of some possible
Yeah.
unforeseen
I just
circumstances,
want to
right?
clarify here. So versatility, it's versatility. The study you were
Versatile.
The study you were citing is from a Catholic journal, which I'm not going to immediately discount it because of that.
The study I sent was from the
Yes.
NIH. It was a Canadian study.
Did you look at the journal it came from? It was the
Okay, what does it being a Catholic journal have to do with the study?
So typically, when it comes to when it comes to these specific issues, we look not at individual studies, but at meta-analyses. And the most recent one from 2023 found that there was their conclusion was that most family outcomes are similar between sexual minority and heterosexual families. So the meta-analysis included 34 studies. So instead of looking at a single study, we look at the broader range.
Not looking at a single study. I mean, the article I sent is comprised of about 25 different studies. So, what is your point?
Well, okay. So
it's comprised of about 25 different studies, basically all coming to the same conclusion in a bunch of different industries, whether that was educational, sexually.
These are not 25
psychologically.
studies corroborating the same thing. There's one study in here talking about. Hold on.
It's basically corroborating the same outcome, which is that no one's outcomes
No, it's
with
not.
homosexual
It's not though, because if you just don't interrupt, 1 second. What I'm saying is this
I can
study
read it
number one. Hold on, study number one.
Let's go read.
It depends. This right here is talking about fathers when it comes to providing discipline and play and challenging their children.
I will read it word by word so we can all get a great understanding.
Cringy, what were you saying about Catholic? This is a Catholic study?
No, the study was published in a Catholic journal, so I was just making sure we're aware.
It said Richard P. Fitzgibbon, and I don't see
in the Lawrence Quarterly, the journal. It should.
National Library of Medicine is a Catholic journal.
But then
so on NIH.gov, you're in PubMed Central, correct?
Yes.
Okay, it should say visit the journal. There should be a banner above the study.
Yeah, it says, this says, as a library of NLM provides access to scientific literature, including an NLM database, does not imply endorsement of or agreement with the contents of the National Institute of Health. And then the Lawrence Quarterly.
Yeah, you should click on that.
Bro, what the? Oh my God! Yeah, this is exactly what it is. It's from this. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay, thank you.
It's literally from a Catholic. Yeah.
And
it's Catholic Medical Association. Oh yeah, it's based off of medicine and religion, focusing on bioethics and rich tradition of Catholic. View journal description. Drawing the rich tradition of Catholic bioethics, LQR.
To disprove the study based on it being posted on a Catholic journal, you'd have to say that the study was done between all of Catholics, which that is also not true. So I'll go ahead and start reading a 2013 Canadian study.
Can we just actually this guy's buddy? You're a lot more easier, but I don't know what's gotten up your butt today, but bro.
I do want to clarify, just because it wasn't a Catholic journal, I'm not going to totally discount it. I just want to be aware of this, and I would say that instead of using the 25, the meta-analysis from the Catholic journal used 25 studies. I think this more recent one from 2023 it used 35 studies and wasn't from explicitly religious journal. Probably we might get less biased outcomes from that specific meta-analysis rather than this one. And so I might lend more credence to this one than the one you were citing specifically.
Well, and right here it says like an acceptance rate of 38%. So this seems like this is widely rejected, but it's like, and he's mad because he wanted to be able to read the thing, but it's like, I don't think what he's understanding is, I'm not like, you're not going to just sit up here and read something that's just false. Like you could just put something into an AI bot and come out with it and just read whatever you want. But I'd rather read something that, like you said, if you have access to something that's got like 25 studies put together versus what is this? Would this be considered? It's just, I don't know, put Catholic on it, and I'm kind of like, the Catholics have a rich history of putting babies down the goddamn sewer. Like, I'm not,
I feel like there's a little bit of a conflict of interest in a Catholic study and on same schmex relationships. But I don't know, maybe I'm just biased. What was that study called? I never got to look at it.
I'll send you the link to it. I mean, it's just like the NIH, and that's what he doesn't understand too. He's like, this is PubMed Central, and it's like, no, it's not necessarily PubMed Central. PubMed Central, is that basically like an aggregate of studies?
Yeah, you can post basically anything to PubMed.
Okay.
You don't even you can post like anything to PubMed essentially.
Yeah, and I think
you could
that's
post a study if you wanted to.
and that's what I don't think he's understanding, but he won't stop interrupting to be able to get that explained to him. So like, if I could go on here and post whatever the fuck I wanted to, that is something that you should be able, like, you should know that before you just start spouting this off as a source. But that's what a lot of people on the conservative side do that frustrate me, is they'll be like, well, this says PubMed, and then they won't take the context of it. So if the Catholic Journal can publish this, you can't say this is a PubMed. I don't know if it's because it sounds legit, but they'll be like, this is PubMed, and it's like, well, no, this is Rando Catholic Journal has a 38% acceptance rate because it's widely rejected. That was just loaded up into an aggregate website. So that doesn't give it validity.
Yeah.
View full journal description. Bro. Hey, it's called the Committee of Publication Ethics for this Catholic thing, and the acronym is COPE.
That's funny.
Yeah. Hey, we can have a conversation, bro, but you have to admit, like, if you can't just say, you have to be honest in your conversation. And the minute you like thwart this, or you thwart honesty, because I'm always honest in my conversation, but if you're gonna be dishonest, then it's gonna be a problem. Like if you come up here and you say this is correct because it's PubMed without ever recognizing the fact that this is an aggregate company where you yourself can go on and post something. If you can't admit that, then you're not having an honest conversation. And then if you think that it's funny, you ask for a study and then you say, oh no, not that study, because do you understand when I tell you that I could post a study on there? Do you think that you should be allowed to use that to prove a point? Because if I posted a random study on here that said unicorns can fly, and it literally had PubMed logo on it, do you think that all of a sudden it's like, I'm not sure. Yeah, he cited the Catholic Medical Association, a journal from the Catholic Medical Association, which the acceptance rate is only 38%. Like it's widely rejected.
Yeah.
Probably because of religious bias. So
Should I be in Tampa, Florida on the 12th of July?
Cringy, do you want to become one of our creators?
Oh my gosh.
Bro.
I don't know if I could do that. I would love to.
Ethan, you got another one?
I got you. Cringy, I'll follow you, brother. I got you.
Versatile, find a credible study. Are we going to have a conversation, or are you still just going to ramble because you didn't like my study? It's not that I don't like your study. It's that I'm trying to get to, like, intellectual honesty. Because, like, when you say, like you said earlier, that you think that gay people are more likely to surrender their kids to the foster system or get them taken away. I guess it's get them taken away. I guess I'm just not, that's, like, wildly untrue. I just don't, I'm not understanding.
I think the most hyper charitable I could be is that I'd lend less credence to the study than the other study I found for 2023, which was an actual meta-analysis of which used more studies in order to come to its conclusions. And then the least charitable I could be is that it comes from a biased journal shown to be untrustworthy in the past, and so I don't even know why I would even start to cite this or believe in any of what this specific study claims.
Yeah, I agree. When things have religious bias in it, I just don't. Obviously, nothing's gonna be bias, whatever that people say in that, but religion is a heavy-hand bias. I have 3 more studies for you. If you'd like, send them over. Are they from PubMed? Send those over. Watch, they're going to be from the Catholic Journal, just on a different aggregate.
I mean, I don't know. It's like as soon as I start looking up stuff on, same schmex couples and the mental well-being and whatever of the kids, how they grow up, it literally looks like it's the same from everything I looked up in 2 seconds. And
I mean, even when I look at it, even when I'm just thinking about it, when we know statistically parents who are going if you are planning, it's especially the LGBT world, if you're planning the whole entirety of having this kid, this isn't unplanned, it's not unexpected, this is heavily anticipated. You fought tooth and nail through the adoption process to be able to get, this kid and adopt them. I just am not seeing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not seeing how they're gonna turn out. Our planned. I just looked up our planned kids better off than accidents.
Yeah.
Unintended pregnancies lead to less access to family resources and potentially harsher parenting. It's crucial to remember parenting and its natural very more complex, influenced by many factors. This study says great children do not happen by accident, and I just think that is so rude. Hey, but you said non-biased studies, and you said the last study was non-biased. Just send them to me so I can check them over, because I'm not just gonna let you come up here and start interrupting fervently. Oh, RC is in the chat, but the thing is, RC, I don't even think that you're willing to have an intellectual conversation because you came up here and talked about putting things in people's bums, and 2 plus 2 intellectual conversation because you came up here and talked about putting things in people's bums, and 2 plus 2 equals 4. We're on TikTok. You don't say stupid shit like that without getting.
What kind of a conversation was that?
Bro, I mean, that's what I'm saying. And these people, Verse is mad because, I don't know if he was in here with the conversation with the last guy. The last guy was like, yeah, Mercedes, you're cool for this conversation. He's just mad. And then he's again being dishonest, being he gets in his feelings. He gets really emotional and he's like, this is not a modern life. This is a typical liberal life. And I'm like, no, calm down, bro. We probably agree on a lot. For example, the conversation where we had where we all agreed that 2 parents were better than 1, where we all agreed nuclear family. If he said that on any other live, they would have been like, Wah! You know what I mean? For him to even say that, it's just dishonest as fuck.
Mercedes, how long have you guys been debating?
I have no idea. 7,
No idea.
8, 9, 10, 3. Not too long. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, still 3 hours. Not bad.
Yeah.
No, when did you start debating? Your career, I guess. Yeah.
2 months ago. 3
months ago.
Nice. I'll say versatile. If you want to send it to me, you can DM
He's
it.
on my phone number. He can send it if he wants to. He just we're gonna pull it up. If he can send me an unbiased study, then we'll have a conversation about it. But I'm gonna pull it up, and if it's got anything Catholic attached to it, I'm gonna be like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Bro.
I got you.
I'm so glad I caught that. I don't. Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you have like a debate background or anything like that?
Uh, I originally watched Vosh in like 2016.
Yeah.
Then I moved on to like Xander Hall. Then I started. Then in 2020 I did a shit ton of Discord debates. So I've been debating for about 5 years. Big Destiny fan. Big Peaceco fan. Watch some Vosh. Yeah.
What does Xander still post? I haven't heard about him in a long time.
He does. Yeah, he does.
All right, cool. I remember when didn't he go by the name of Pig Puncher once upon a time?
Yeah, I think he did.
Simpler times, man. Simpler times.
Simpler time.
When RC, whatever you do want to debate about, I'm not gonna lie though, like I think you want to debate about talking about any kind of sexuality in schools and teaching it in schools, and how you think that's wrong. I also think that's wrong, so I'm not gonna debate it. Okay. And in the last live, because I know Destiny was debating on that, and I was like, call me a prude, but I I just the children, come on, they don't even know anything.
Destiny was debating who on what.
He doesn't think like any type of sexuality should be like taught in schools and stuff. Like the teachers need to stay out of that and leave it to the parents. Probably unless it's like, I don't know, his feelings on sex ed or something like that. But I also agree to that. So
I thought like everyone agreed with that. Seems like a pretty simple take.
you'd be cringy leftist. I don't know what spaces you've been hanging out in, but I think most people would argue with us and then call us mad.
Wait, I'm sorry. I've been excommunicated from a couple spaces already. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've had a couple controversies in my
It was posted on Sage Journals. Buddy, just send it really quick. If you're not scared, just send it. If you think it's like so unbiased and you think it's like the end all be all of studies, just send it really quick and we'll go over it. Teachers teach values. Yeah, teachers are there to teach math and like maybe, I don't know, cooking classes. I don't know what the public schools be teaching, but I don't believe that they should be teaching anything outside of, curriculums. I don't think we should be. He doesn't want to send the studies because he's being weak. Is there any MAGA who wants to debate though? You guys want to talk? You want to talk about the border? You want to talk about Sage isn't Catholic? Well, PubMed isn't Catholic either, but the study was posted on PubMed, and PubMed is Catholic. What is Sage? Does anyone know what Sage is? Is that an aggregate? Study on global aging? Oh, that's not. Study on global aging and adult health. It was posted by Sage onto PubMed, which isn't Catholic. You claimed that they were Catholic. I did not claim that they were Catholic. I said it was based off of your fear of sending it. It could likely be, but I never said that Sage is Catholic. I said I don't know what the fuck Sage is. What is Sage? Is it a school? Is it cringy? Do you know?
Huh? I'm sorry.
You know what Sage is?
Sage.
She said,
No.
please stop LARPing to grift from naive liberals. What does that even mean? Bro, I used to be MAGA. Logic, do you want to debate him? Logic.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, no, it was posted into a Catholic journal, and then the Catholic journal was hosted by PubMed. Okay? It's like that simple.
Logic, do you want to come up here and debate Versatile? I'll bring Versatile back up if you want to talk to him. Sage Journals is an independent.
Yeah, Sage is just another. I think it's just another version of PubMed. You go to the because I assume it's Sage Pub or whatever. And it's just a global academic publisher that champions new ideas and advances. Yeah, so it just kind of sounds like PubMed. Right?
Just send
Okay,
me
but
the info real quick.
it was posted in a Catholic journal. Like, let's be clear here.
Yeah. The Sage one was posted in the Catholic Journal too.
No, the specific study you're talking about was posted in a Catholic journal.
Yeah. He's talking about the original one. Yeah, but then he's saying something about Sage, which I'm assuming because I know the first one was PubMed, I believe, and now he's talking, and I'm hearing a Sage one, but it sounds like Sage is an equivalent to PubMed, and I'm willing to bet if we look at the publication behind the Sage article, I haven't seen it, but it's probably going to be a little biased.
So Sage is an aggregate? Does it just gather all the studies?
Just
Well,
gather all
we
the
just
studies.
like
It sounds like it's like another PubMed, to my understanding at least.
Bro, versatile, just send it. Like, holy shit. This is like being like, what is that? There's a, this is the situation specifically that I'm talking about that this feels like, where you're like, you're like, guess the color, and you're like, is it blue? Is it pink? No. Is it yellow? No.
Ethan, do you know this guy called Edna Mode? They debate quite a bit.
Wait, Edna. Oh,
You haven't sent it, buddy.
Yeah.
You said Edna Mode.
Yeah, Edna Mode. You debated them before?
Nate. I know Nate.
How'd that go?
The one where bro cannot understand that the word denote and connote are not mutually exclusive.
I think
I'm dead.
I thought you only debated like the trans stuff. Like that's the only thing he ever debates.
Yeah, that is the only thing that he ever debates. When I debated him on it, the thing that turfs get wrong is so the first thing you have to do is you have to go by a set of definitions, right? By some standard. Because if I say, well, a man is going to refer to like a social aspect of it, like a gender, not necessarily like the biological aspect, they're never going to agree with me. So we have to at least appeal to something, right? Like an academic literature or something, right? Something external to us. So I'll appeal to like the Google definition of male or female.
No, wait. Does he not understand like what like qualia are, or like you have to like experience a man in order to understand what it is, what they are?
He doesn't care about that. He's just going to
He
say.
doesn't care about that. That's great. Because like, I don't. When you say words, you're trying to like invoke certain concepts in people's minds. Like when I say the word woman, I don't mean like fucking XX chromosomes or some shit.
Yeah. If I had to guess what he would say, if I had to steal man, most likely what Nate would say, it would be something like, a person who is assigned a female at birth will never have the exact same experience as a person assigned a male at birth. They can have similar experiences, but it'll never be the same. Therefore, the experiences, I guess, don't count or some dumb shit like that.
Guys, I think I found the study he's talking about from Sage, and I'm just gonna like read this line that I'm reading right here. And it says, where'd it go? Our results indicate that children raised by same-sex parents from birth outperform children raised by different-sex parents on standardized test scores at the end of primary education. And then,
He said that they did better?
Yeah.
Dang.
In that first sentence. And then by contrast, children with same-sex parents at a later date perform worse, albeit not significantly, on tests than children with different sex parents. Okay, so like look at like we have one saying in the beginning they outperform, and then later on in life in standard, so in primary education they outperform, and then in whatever after primary, like high school, I guess, same sex, but not. It says I do not understand how to say this word, but not significant. It's not significant. We also find that children raised by same-sex parents from birth continue to outperform children raised by same-sex or by different sex parents in secondary education, so in college. So same-sex kids perform better in college than, this is according to his study, than different sex parents or kids raised by different sex parents. So I'm seeing this study and it's like, this is from Sage journals and it's not proving him correct. I don't know what he read here. Not my study. Oh, but it's by Sage. I thought Sage Journals, man. That's what you said. Sage Journals was you said it was an independent organization. It's an aggregate company, isn't it? This is what we're trying to say here. This is why who the study is by matters. You all authors and affiliations.
All right, Mercedes. I'll go ahead and get ready and drop. I gotta get up in the morning. I'm going to the gym, dog.
Perfect. Versatile, I said you could send them. Ethan, you're the best. You're absolutely awesome.
I love y'all. Take care, y'all.
Love you. Versatile, I said you could send them, and I said I would look over them. But you're not sending them. Versatile, I said you could send them, and I said, but you're not sending them, so I don't know what. And there's a text from me to you saying I'm waiting. She's not a leftist. She's confused about everything. That's what people say about people who are more moderate. Yeah. I get hate from both sides. You're going to think I'm confused because I don't capitulate to your crazy ideologies and vice versa to the MAGA. I think balance matters. I'm trying to get this study for you so I can send it to you. Be like, here you go. And you could tell me about it, but he doesn't want to give it up because I don't think he wants it getting torn apart. The authors on this study, though, view all authors and affiliations. University of Oxford, Department of Sociology. This all comes from the University of Oxford, and then the Maastricht University, Maastricht University. View all articles and authors. The American Sociological Review. I don't know if that's is that an author? Yeah, he clearly doesn't. Yeah, no, he doesn't want to give up his study. That's embarrassing, though, buddy. Because I don't care. Like, I don't care if you have. I'm not trying to say that you're 100% wrong. What I'm saying is, I don't think you're being honest about what you're trying to portray here. Like, if you wanted to be honest about it, I'm open and honest to me being wrong, but I'm not going to let a Catholic journal that is, 38, what would that be, like 62% rejection rate. You know what I'm saying? What you're saying is you asked for a study, got a study, and you didn't like the facts of it.
Okay, so Versatile, we have a better meta-analysis with more studies included within it, which comes to results that contradict this one, and the one you're citing comes from Catholic Journal, which seems to have uncredible slew of uncredible ratings from its past publications. So I would say that due to the fact that we have a meta-analysis that's better, and since the study was published in a journal that's shown to be problematic, that it's probably okay to discount this study for this specific debate or argument.
I don't think he did. He refuses to engage in intellectual honesty. Like, he was like, you hate my study, after I literally just said, by the way, I'm open to being wrong. You just need to provide me a study that it doesn't have Catholic written all over it, and we could talk. And then he said, no, you hate my study. And I'm like, I literally just said that I'm okay. Like, if you want to prove me wrong on something, I'm open to being wrong on something. I don't have a problem with that. But you have to have intellectual honesty, and that just is not coming from this guy.
You want me to try to invite some of my conservative friends over here?
Yeah, 100%. So what I need to do is provide you a leftist study. No, I didn't say a leftist study. I literally said a study that... Give me a study that has nothing to do with religion in it. Don't give me a religious study. I don't... If you're vouching for the church having a solid track record of honesty, we both know that's not true. Or I can pull up other things that study says that you probably would disagree with, or not necessarily that study, but things published by the Catholic Medical Journal that really devils into holistic care, which I believe in holistic. I mean, there's things about holistic care that I enjoy, but I think modern medicine definitely has its place and saves lives. And this But I'm just saying, it's like versatile. You can get that the minute you send me yours. I've been waiting for years.
Ooh. I think there's like a 50% chance I go to Tampa on July 12th right now. 50%. We'll see.
Where do you live?
Wisconsin. Bit of a trip. 20 hours.
It's not bad. It would be sick.
Although I would say I would have to say like a campsite, which would be fun. So
You'd stay in a campsite? Why?
yeah, outside the city.
Just
That's
stay
like
in
cheaper.
just stay in the hotel with me.
No.
I will literally get 2 queen beds, and you can literally stay in the hotel. That's not a problem. If you are camping, though, I will legit come camp with you because I got a bunch of camping equipment, and I'm taking a transit van because I got to drive the equipment out there because it's stored in our storage unit here. So if you do want to actually camp, though, that could be fun as well. Or if you want, we can just do the. I'm legit. I'm serious. Like you can come stay in the.
Yeah, I can probably get back to you tomorrow with like plans.
That would be awesome. It'd be cool to meet you. I'd be like, you're the only person with leftist in the bio that I'm like, okay, this person is not gonna attack me. If you're MAGA, you can come up, unless you're ours.
I invited like I invited Millie. I don't know. I'm sure you know Millie.
Millie,
Yeah. You know Millie, right?
if I saw them, maybe.
Oh.
If you're
What's
MAGA,
good?
oh, there we go. Hi, Logic.
My bad. I just saw the invite.
No, you're fine. How you doing?
Chilling, filling out paperwork. You know what I mean?
Has Ethan grabbed you yet?
Yeah. I talked to him today.
Cool. You should join. Are you joining us?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's all. That's the paperwork.
So Logic.
What's
Do you like
up?
Logic? Do you like Logic? Is that your
The
thing?
rapper. It's funny enough. I used to, but not anymore.
No. Oh no, like actual Logic, like
Oh, I thought you
philosophical.
meant the rapper.
Oh no. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Big part of my name.
So do you agree with the law of middle exclusion when it comes to like classical argumentation?
Say that one more time.
Do you like agree with the law of middle exclusion or excluded middle?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. So essentially, it means like a statement must either be like positive or negative, like or it must be true or false. And you can't take an agnostic position. I don't necessarily agree with that though. I
I
feel
was
like
gonna say that I don't. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
yeah, I generally think you can take positions that are like agnostic or like you don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think it either. I think you have an agnostic stance on certain things. So you just trying to get some MAGA in here?
Yeah, you're always welcome.
Okay.
The journal that he's talking about, by the way, it has criticisms that have to do with withholding nutrition and hydration from patients. Like, talks about strong opposition to, abortion, which, of course, if you want to take that, like, but that's what I'm saying when I tell him that the study is filled with opinion and not. The journal rejects IVF technology, calling it massive destruction of human embryonic life. So, yeah, I'm definitely not taking that, as a reliable source.
So Mercedes, you like fishing? I heard.
That's literally all I live for. If every single ounce of water, if every fish, because I guess I need the water to live, but if all the fish went away tomorrow, I would too.
Yeah, I went fishing.
Huh?
Okay. Okay. I like catching big catfish, but I live in Wisconsin, so they're like not. Well, they some of them are big, but
You got
I
that.
have to drive.
Yeah, but like you got that muskie out there.
Yeah, they're. I just don't have a boat.
Yeah, and muskie, they call them the 1,000 cast fish. So you definitely
Yeah,
have a boat.
for sure.
I got a 16-foot canoe. I'm gonna pop a motor on it when I move. But Mercedes, what advice could you give to someone who's starting fishing? Don't buy a bunch of plastics and a bunch of gear. Just buy yourself a pole from Walmart, medium action. Get some 10-pound line. Wrap it up on that bitch. Get you a hook and worms and some slip shot sinkers and start with that. And catch your fish first.
And be careful, bullheads. I learned the hard way.
Did you get poked?
Yeah, I did. I got poked.
Yeah, they're just right here, and that's it. Nowhere else.
But it was a big one. It was not a small guy.
Only time I've ever been poked by a catfish was during the gutting process. I love catfish. And
Yeah, what I'll generally do is I'll catch a carp and I'll cut up the carp and then I'll use that to catch the catfish.
Stop. I know that's such a good tactic, but I love carp fishing. That's probably one of my favorite is carp fishing. And because they put up fucking such a good fight. You put that thing on a fucking light action rod and it's like, oh, I might as well have just transported myself to the ocean. Like, God, that's a Nessie the sea monster up in that bitch. And then I pull them out and I'm like, and mind you, I hunt and I have cleaned plenty of fish and processed plenty of meat across the animal kingdom, but the carp, it's so cute. And I know I'm supposed to mark it because it's an invasive species, but I'm like holding it and it's just going like this. And I'm like, oh, a baby. So then I put it back every time. And I don't know. For me, like it's impossible to hook a carp. Like it's just,
They are very simple.
yeah, there's the hook is always in the perfect spot. So it's so tempting to just like, I know it's going to live